this one, traded for my first big win. Jonathan Fink on the line tonight, with a pack in hand and a story that bites. Old paper, new spark, name on the card, from basement deals to a full-on start. Collected and connected, collected and connected, trading the truth.
Hey, what's up? Jonathan Fink, Sports Card Collectors Club, and this is the Card Life Chronicles. Tonight we're doing a live rip session, and we're going to feature VeeFriends. Now, I had a episode tonight with Matt Vinyls on my flagship podcast, the Sports Card Collectors Club, which is on Tuesday nights, every other Tuesday. And he ripped NBA Top Shot, which is digital collectible, so he did it online on a second screen. And I ripped VeeFriends, and it was a challenge because when I had met Matt originally at the Summer League and I found out he was into Pokemon, I was like, oh, you must be into promo tonight. I was like, can I convince Matt Vinyls that, to love VeeFriends? And by the time the rip was over, it was a success, right? We had over 2,000 viewers, and I'm sure we converted a lot of traditional collectors into Top Shot digital collectors, and then vice versa. We turned a lot of people who were from his following, from the Top Shot community, probably turned into VeeFriend collectors, or at least VeeFriend gift givers for sure. But we did so much time talking for 90 minutes. We had a great time, but we didn't get to open that many packs, which is kind of the point of the show, is to mix in the packs. But sometimes the conversation just gets Flip Life, which comes out in December of this year, to Gary Vee, because Gary Vee invented VeeFriends and has been a big champion for it, and its mission and its purpose. And really, it's cards with character. It's cards with purpose. Just to give you an example, I always kind of do a pull of the day to highlight the best cards pulled from my podcast. And I pulled two from this mega box, which, by the way, just shows what a good value VeeFriends is, because I bought mega box at retail at Dick's Sporting Goods for MSRP. I think it's $50 for a mega box. And I pulled these two numbered cards. I pulled this genuine giraffe, which is out of 75. And I pulled this capable caterpillar out of 99. Now, I haven't gone to Card Ladder or eBay or, Sports Card Investor's app and Market Movers and looked at the prices. But my guess is, they're probably worth each at least 20 or 30 bucks. And so at a minimum, we broke even, but we probably actually turned a profit. And so for me, I love VeeFriends for collecting. But, a lot of the hobby these days is like collecting a portfolio, cards that you are investing in and you're looking to hope they appreciate in value before you trade them and sell them and flip them for others. And you know what? That's fine too. There's lots of different ways to enjoy this hobby. There's room for both. You need both, actually. For lots of different reasons. I write about that, in my sports card books, how you kind of actually need both. And most people kind of overlap. Most people are actually collectors and investors, right? Well, VeeFriends has a really good collector community, but actually it's become a great investment vehicle. The profitability of Topps Chrome Series 1 was huge. The blaster boxes that we're selling for 25, 30 bucks, we're eventually selling for 75, 100, and then in the multiple hundreds. And then the individual cards, just this year in Topps Chrome Series 2, someone pulled a Erupt 1 of 1. Now, Erupt is like the Kaboom card. It was designed by the same artist who made the Kaboom. He designed the Erupt. And every character has an Erupt 1 of 1. And, of course, the Black Cat is the most coveted character in the set. And that 1 of 1 Black Cat Erupt sold in an auction for $132,000. My friends, that is big money. The fact that you can open up a pack, and pull a card out that's potentially worth $100,000 when Trike Cards pulled a Cooper Flag auto with his friend in their hotel room one of the nights at the National. He was saying how it was life-changing, and some are saying that the card's worth $100,000, enough for a major down payment for a house. That is life-changing. Well, guess what? The 1 of 1 Erupt is also life-changing, and there's lots of other cards in that set, that maybe not be worth $100,000, but are definitely worth in the hundreds and even in the thousands. Actually, I document this in my sports card series because I went crazy with Series 1, and I ripped a lot of boxes, but I eventually definitely probably broke even, maybe turned a profit. I did pull two different 101s. One was an art sketch, one was a blast off, and one sold for I think 500 and one sold for I think 2,000. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I made profit on that. But that's not why I did it. But you know what? You have to, as a collector, you got to fund your hobby, and you got to know what you PC, what you keep, and what you're willing to flip and trade, because you can't keep it all. Your house will just fill up with cards, and also you have to keep the money flowing so you can reinvest and buy other stuff. I literally keep a shoebox that my son used to keep when he was a little kid for his cards, and whenever I rip packs and I have extras, the ones that I don't give away in envelopes when I do eBay sales or give away to kids at shows, I just take them to the baseball card store in Overland Park, Kansas, and I trade it in, and maybe get $5-10, whatever you get, but it's better than nothing. Enough for me to go buy the next high box or blaster box or whatever. So anyway, so these were the 2 hits from today. Pretty good hits right there. But we're not done yet. We're just gonna get started here tonight. We'll rip these packs and then we'll keep going. And if there's people in the chat and if people are enjoying, we'll keep going if I have the energy. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up after maybe 30 minutes or an hour. We'll see. But yeah, I can't speak highly enough about how much I love the VeeFriends product. You know what? This world's got a lot of darkness. There's a lot of negativity, and the world needs many different ways to help the world bring light to this planet and make the world a better place. And VeeFriends has definitely done that. I think Gary Vee was very creative. He has a lot of social media content, kind of like self-help guru stuff, but he's very loud. He drops F-bombs. His personality is not for everybody, and he found a very creative way to get his message across, about hard work and being humble and having character, good karma, all these important traits that you want to teach your kids and grandkids. He found a Trojan horse. He found VeeFriends. He created this product through his hand sketches when he was a kid, all these characters, and it's genius. And in fact, now he's broadened it out. He's got comic books and cartoons and there's all kinds of characters. In fact, Series 2 has 200 characters. In fact, during our rip session tonight with Matt Finals, we didn't have one duplicate card. That's how deep this set is. And what's great about it is, like, for example, our first card here is the Befuddled Burglar. He's one of the bad guys. He's one of the villains in the series, but even in the cartoon and all that. But even the bad guys in this stuff have redeemable qualities, which is just brilliant. You gotta love it. You gotta respect the wisdom, and it's genius. I cannot wait to be a grandpa and have my kids, my grandkids come over for like a sleepover, and I get to, rip cards with them, and then, we'll get to talk about, the ambitious angel and the patient pig, and all these really great attributes that you'd love all your kids to live by. And this is a great way to inculcate that in a way that's actually fun and potentially financially rewarding, which is just icing on the cake. So here we got the Befuddled Burglar. Competitive advantage, fumbles every escape, but uses the surprise to learn something each time. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people who don't know about VeeFriends, it's so interesting. The TCG business is booming. Recently, Pokemon prices had a recent sell-off, and some are saying it's because, Pal World is now selling like hotcakes. There's always, it seems like, whether it's One Piece, or Magic the Gathering. There's a lot of different IP right now, but the truth is, like, what are we learning from Magic the Gathering? Is it just dark, gothic stuff, or is there redeemable qualities? Maybe it's a fun game. I don't know. I need to learn more about it, frankly. But I just heard a lot of great stuff about One Piece tonight from my guest of my podcast, Matt Vinals. But I know this about VeeFriends. Even when you just get a base card, you're getting love, you're getting knowledge, you're getting wisdom, you're getting guidance, you're being taught. And by the way, it's not just for kids. Adults need to learn this stuff too and be reminded of this stuff all the time. We're all looking to become better versions of ourselves, right? And being passionate, like the passionate parrot, definitely a key to having a fulfilling life. So let's read this competitive advantage. Uses passion to fuel hard work, and hard work is how good stuff happens. Very nice. All right, 2 base cards. Here comes another. Actually, we got 1 X factor. Here's a badass bulldog. Competitive advantage. Rough around the collar edge. That makes others feel like a badass just standing next to him. That's cool. Here's the observant oyster. Doesn't guess blindly, observes, then acts. Very nice. Then we got an X factor. So, of course, these are more unique. They should trade at a premium in the market. On eBay, I haven't noticed them trading more than the common card prices, frankly, but they should, and maybe they still will. They're certainly beautiful, and frankly, as a collector, I think collecting all the X factors of all the different VeeFriends would actually be a great project. FYI, here's the arbitraging admirable. Let's read the advantage. Spots undervalued opportunities before the rest of the world catches on. Dude, investing in VeeFriends is an arbitrage. I mean, come on, especially right now because the print runs are still very, very short and small. If you follow guys like Sasquatch, you crunch all the numbers. The new products, like for example, in 2 days, Topps Chrome Basketball is going to come out, and we just had Topps Chrome Baseball, and last year was basketball and football. The print runs were huge. So it's really hard to hit. If you're really chasing the number cards and the autos and all that stuff, well, the smaller the print run, the better your odds. And so if you're in this for the chase, and that's cool. No disrespect. I love ripping wax. It's one of the fun parts of this hobby. But you have a much better chance of doing it when there's less cards, less packs, less boxes. So VeeFriends in Series 2 is definitely printed more than Series 1, but it's still great value as far as risk reward if you're into cards for investing purposes. Anyway, next one. Well-connected werewolf. Thrives by building deep connections and uniting the right people together. Yeah, the hobby has definitely done that for me. I spent 10 years writing books. I spent no time really trying to market or sell my books, and definitely had moderate to mild social media presence. But since I've started doing the podcast and stuff like that, several podcasts, I guess, and being guests on other people's, I've really gotten immersed in the community, and that's the best part about this hobby is the people and being part of the community. I really enjoyed it, especially with the whole crew at NBA Top Shot. Those guys are terrific. I really will be part of that community for a long time, and can't wait to go back to Summer League next year and be part of that Top Shot community again. It's wild that you can have this digital community that's so vibrant, but then you get to physically be together a couple times a year through these events, and it's a lot of fun. It was first time for me meeting people, but for a lot of us, it was the first time meeting everybody, and it's just like no time had passed. You knew these people forever, and it's really a wild experience to actually meet people that you feel like you've known for a long time. It's really rewarding, and it just next year you see them, it builds. But you know what? A lot of people that I met at the Summer League have become guests on my shows. Levi. Who's a principal from Oklahoma City. I met, he was there, and we hung out and spent some time together. And then turns out he was the first guest on my Rip Sessions show last week, and it was awesome. And we had a great time. So thank you to Levi. That's a new show. That's every other week with alternating with this show. And the idea of that one, we'll see if it really can take off. But the idea is that community is so important. It's the Sports Card Collectors Club for a reason. And the goal is that it's sort of like a local card shop and sit around a table with your friends ripping packs, and but it's virtual. We're going to do it on online through this software, right? So hopefully next week. Last week was the National, so a lot of our friends from the community were traveling or at the show, the National. So next week, if we can get 4 or 5 people on the show at once, it could be a lot of fun. Great last night when it was just me and Levi last week, but that's more the format of my regular podcast. The goal is to have a group of people. So we'll see what happens next week. Anyway, Hot Shot Hornet. Never hesitates to take the shot. Very nice. All right, next pack. Let's keep ripping. So we got a few people joining me so far. We got 4 people in the chat. Thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. My favorite number happens to be 4. It's my lucky number. You'll notice I reference 4 all the time in my books. I even put it subtly. If you notice the Spirits of the Gridiron, Road to the Show Dynasty that I'm doing based on the book on College Football 27, like the uniform that I'm using in my thumbnail, he's wearing number 4. Anyway, Authentic Anaconda. Always stays authentic in a world of snakes. Yikes. Ain't that the truth? Monday Mole. Loves what he does, so appreciates every day. Kind Warrior. Knows that nice guys actually finish first. Love that. Knowing Gnome. Understands that real knowing comes from paying attention to people, to patterns, and to yourself. We got an X-Factor, Heart Trooper. Leads with heart, even in the toughest moments. Yeah, he's a cool character. I guess he's like an astronaut, yeah? This is the weird one, right? You're gonna fly, die. Fly. You're gonna die, fly. Flies through life knowing that tomorrow isn't promised. Yikes, that is so true, man. Let's not even get started. Adaptable alien. Treats every new challenge like a new planet, adjusting as he explores. So pretty much, I've had all bus packs so far, right? But that's what's great about VeeFriends. You still love the rip because you learn something new. You get reminded of something that's important, a character trait that you probably want to have, and maybe you don't. And you're like, yeah, I probably should be more adaptable. I probably, I probably could maybe be more kind or authentic. Or observant. You get the point. Anyway, next pack. Or thoughtful. Thoughtful three-horned Hartnick. He's a goofy looking dude, right? Look at this guy. Thinks beyond the moment, choosing what will matter later, not just now. That makes sense to me. Intuitive iguana. I don't pull this one very often, but gosh, intuition is so important. Believes that guts intuition is more powerful than the brain. Yeah. And I guess the real thing I'd love to see VeeFriends do more is have their characters like teach how do you enhance intuition, and yoga, meditation, mindfulness. There's ways to do it for sure. Courageous cockatoo. Knows fear isn't a stop sign. It's a sign to keep going because you're leaving your comfort zone. Great stuff. Skilled skeleton. Talents that are as clean as a bone. Oh, here we go. I forget what this insert is called, but it's the resilient red devil. Now I assume he's a bad guy in this. In this product, in this series, with the comic books and all that, but he might not be. I don't know for sure. But his power source is getting knocked down because because hits don't end him, but rather they prove he can take more. Yeah, I mean, I respect that, I guess, right? Yeah. Selfless sloth. Know that taking care of others begins with taking care of itself. So the people in the chat, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. I'm curious, what's your favorite VeeFriend character? Which character do you identify the most with? If you don't have one, then you can just choose from one of the ones that I've pulled today. For example, here's a new one, which I love, the Chill Chinchilla. Knows when to let things roll off. I mean, it's really a brilliant product, you know what I'm saying? And so it's like, how do you not root for them? How do I not support them? I mean, here when I'm in this position as an author, and I didn't have to start writing about sports cards. I kind of just actually, if you don't know how it happened, I had been out of sports cards for 30 years. I was a junk wax kid. I was into sports cards in the 80s. I gave up the hobby. I got in the hobby in 81, got hardcore in 82, gave it up in high school in 88. And then a lot of people have a very similar story. They kind of get in a midlife crisis and get back into the hobby after 20 or 30 or whatever years. I saw my midlife crisis was becoming an author and writing books. So during the pandemic, I was knee deep in writing books. I wrote many books during the pandemic. And that was when most people got back into the hobby from my generation. And that's also why there was this huge bull market and rise in prices because of that. Everyone was stuck at home. Everyone was pulling out their sets and their old shoe boxes and cards from the attics and the basements. And everyone kind of got the vibe again. Everyone got back into it, which is great. I think it's awesome. But I was busy writing books. However, one book series that I had started, I wrote volumes 1 and 2, was the Republic Baseball League. And that's the story of Professor Kevin Dempsey. And he's a college professor of political economy at the University of Missouri in Kansas City. But his real passion, his favorite hobby, is baseball and baseball cards. And he spends a lot of time at this barbershop, which was called the baseball card store called the Barbershop. It was an old school barbershop that went out of business, and then years later they refurbished it and turned it into a baseball card shop. And so a lot of the scenes in the story, and hopefully eventually a movie, right, take place in the barbershop. And then a lot of times Dempsey will buy a card, and then when he gets to class, before he gives a lecture, he'll either talk about the jersey he's wearing and why he's wearing the jersey, or he'll talk about the card. So baseball cards became a big part of my consciousness, because I was thinking about Dempsey all the time, writing this book, building that character. And then when the pandemic actually ended, that's when I saw the first advertisement for a card show. And I was like, oh, I got to go. And then I saw this 1964 Willie Mays card. Hold on. This is the card. And I saw two of them. and they were $50 each, and I bought them both. And this became the first card that I, really PC'd as like, a new investor again, or a new collector investor. By the way, I'm a financial advisor for a living, so I do invest for a living, which is one of the reasons why I was attracted to the sports card market and more importantly, the Pokemon market. I saw what a vibrant economic system and economy they had, which is intriguing to me. But anyway, so I bought two of these, and that became a pivotal point in the storyline when I wrote my first book about sports cards called Sports Cards Collectors Volume 1. But that's when I got back into the hobby. That first trade show, I bought one for me and one for my dad because Willie Mays was my dad's favorite player. And actually, I started accumulating Willie Mays cards, not to PC for myself, but to give to my dad. I started building up. My dad had a famous epic story, a very typical one. He had full sets of 1954, 55, and 56 of MLB, every single card. If you look up those rookies like Ernie Banks and all that stuff, it's incredible. But unfortunately, when he was in law school, my grandparents were moving out of their apartment from the Bronx to Queens, and they were cleaning house. They were doing spring cleaning, and my grandma called up my dad and says, Jeffrey, what about these baseball cards? Do you want them? And my dad's like, I can't. He was working 3 jobs and da-da-da. He just couldn't deal with it. He's like, I don't know, Mom. You can do whatever you want to do with them, do with them. So what'd she do with them? She threw them out in the incinerator, and kapoof, there went his entire collection. So my entire life, I had heard all about my dad's collection, but I never got to see his cards. I never got to touch his cards. So with this Willie Mays card and the subsequent ones that I purchased thereafter, I was sort of like, it was an excuse. It was a great reason to give him a Father's Day gift or a birthday gift, but it was a way to kind of like rebuild his collection, his portfolio of his favorite player, Willie Mays. So yeah. But the point is, ever since then, I became like, I fell back in love with the hobby, and I became so passionate about it. And so much so that even though I had really enjoyed writing books about, the God is Real series, football gods and hockey gods and the golf gods, and right now I just finished the Pokemon gods, and I'm working on basketball gods right now. I really enjoyed kind of doing different stuff. I wrote 2 fictional novel series. I wrote the Republic Baseball League. I also wrote Spirits of the Gridiron. And the RBL is now done. The trilogy is complete. Volume 3 came out in July. And Spirits of the Gridiron, I wrote Volume 1 as a one-off, the story about Beck Jordan and the College Football League. It was just a one-off. But then when Volume 2 came to me, I was like, I then saw Volumes 2 through 10. But I'm not releasing Volume 2 until I write the whole thing, 2 through 10. So I have a complete story where like everything interconnects really, really nicely. And then I'll release them. I might even release them very quickly, maybe one every month. Who knows? But I will not be releasing Volume 2 on that book series for a while because I really moved on to the sports card stuff. And I've already written Volumes 1 and 2, and Volume 3 I'm starting to write now. And I already have an idea for Volume 4. And if you include Pokemon Gods, that's 5 sports card books. So I've really been in this sports card mode for some time, and I will continue to be because I still have a long way to go to write the Card Life Volume 3. And I'm having so much fun doing it. So it's like I kind of want to, actually that's how I got into this whole Junk Wax project, which could be Volume 4. So just having so much fun with the hobby. And as an author, it was a way for me to, after starting with nonfiction and then going to fiction with 2 different series, it was a fun way to get back into nonfiction in a totally different way. But in a way, if you think about it, really, the way I write, it is sort of a storyline continuation of that Baseball Gods Are Real series, which, except for Volume 3, is kind of like my true life story adventures with me and my son Nate, and then me and my apprentice at the time, John Perrin. So whatever. But so the sports card journey has been so much fun, and that's why I'm really so looking forward to going to the National. In fact, that might be eventually a chapter in the book. What a perfect way to end Volume 3 was going to the National, because as you guys know, there's no better place for a sports card collector than the National. And next year particularly is the last year in Chicago. And as I understand it, that venue is really perfect. It's close to the airport. There are hotels that are connected to it. So next year I'm in. All right, back to the cards. By the way, we've doubled the group in the chat, so thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And by the way, if you want to name your favorite VeeFriends character, drop it in the chat and let's talk about it. In the meantime, check out the dynamic dinosaur. Stomps through the rough parts of life with limitless versatility, ready for any challenge. Swaggy sea lion. Drips in confidence like water off its back. Eager eagle. Soars through bright and dark days with excitement, staying driven to grow. How about this? If this is the first time you've ever seen someone rip open VeeFriend packs, drop in the comments below. I'm really curious. I kind of feel like when I was watching those videos of Paulie from the What Do You Collect podcast, he was interviewing Top Shop people at their booth, and people were acting like they'd never seen Top Shop before. It's been around for years, but it's still new to people. It's still new. It's still a brand new thing. And so VeeFriends is the same idea. I'm curious to know how many of you guys even know about VeeFriends. Here's a tolerant tortoise. Moves through life with patience and an open heart, showing harmony through understanding. Ooh, we got our first mega head. So there's one mega head in every mega box, appropriately, one for every character. So just like with the X-Fractor, that I think is a great collection to build, I think it'd be really cool to build all the mega heads. I actually keep a mega head of the Black Cat in my cards right behind, where you can't see it from here because it's behind the camera. But yeah, mega heads are a great design, and I have not seen the mega heads trading at a premium yet on the eBay market, but they definitely should. They're definitely very, very rare, and they're freaking awesome. What a cool design! So I love the mega head. In fact, I think it'd be cool to be part of the VeeFriends, management team who's picking those artists, right? Because your cards are only as good as the designs, right? And that's so important. In fact, Topps has had a hard time replicating the great designs that Panini had done with like their super short prints, like the Kaboom, Downtown. Those designs were so epic that they really become elite collectibles. I think over time Topps will find those designs, but I think fans are still eager for them to build out designs that are really like, wow, like that's amazing. And, I actually have one Kaboom card of Brody Breck, who was a pitcher in the minor leagues. He pitched for University of Iowa. I featured him in that card in my first sports card book. And from here, it glows at me. It glistens. It's such a beautiful card, and it like literally radiates light. So it's just awesome to have. I would love a whole room of Kabooms, honestly. Here's a respectful raccoon. Treat others for who they are, not for what they can offer. Big Game Bandicoot. A master of taking calculated risks with unflinching confidence. Cool. All right. So this is the same mega box that we ripped during my podcast tonight. And as you know, we pulled two number cards that definitely were worth at least $50, maybe more. The rest of these packs have been bust so far, so that happens, right? But this is the last pack. And if you read my books and if you know my whole thing, it's all about good luck, good vibes, superstition, rituals, traditions. And so here we got one called Last Pack Magic. Here we go. Kind warrior. Knows that nice guys actually finish first. I believe this has been our first repeat. Knowing gnome. Understands that real knowing comes from paying attention to people, to patterns, and to yourself. So look, last pack magic, you got to believe. That's part of the energy, the positivity, and it did work this time. This is a manga. In fact, I think that Gary Vee put out a challenge to the fans of VeeFriends. If anyone could build a manga set, he would give them an interview or whatever, something like that, which I think was clever. This is another great design to collect. This actually, I think, is my, until proven otherwise, this is my favorite design in Series 2. I love this manga card. It refracts, it glistens in the light, it's beautiful, and it still has the knowledge, self-aware hair. By knowing their weaknesses, they stop wasting energy and double down on what they're built for. I mean, in my opinion, I forget what these are going for. They might only be going for like $5-10, but this could be a $25, $50, $100 card, in my opinion. They're really beautiful designs. So yeah, shout out to whoever the artist was who designed this kind of card. I've been ripping VeeFriends 32 for some time. In fact, I did before I converted to this format, I was doing a pack opening series just on my phone, and I ripped, I think, over 100 VeeFriend packs. And of all the cards that I pulled, this design was like kind of the most rewarding and exciting to get. Lastly, I think we've also pulled this one already. Selfless sloth. Knows that taking care of others begins with taking care of yourself. All right. So those are all the packs that I intended to rip. We are 30 minutes in, so that would have been enough for an episode. But you know what? We got 60 people in the chat, and I appreciate each and every one of you. So we're gonna keep going. I find that the biggest upside, I feel like the mega boxes have the most predictable outcomes, right? You usually can break even, make some money in the mega boxes, but they always have the mega head. They always have a certain number of inserts, and they'll have a certain number of numbered cards. But with the blaster box, that's all true. You can't get the mega heads, but this is where you can get the 101 blast off, which are exclusive to blasters. And when I ripped packs, the megas didn't exist in Series 1. And when I ripped a ton of Series 1, like an insane amount, I documented all my book series. It proved true that there was no need to overpay for the expensive hobby boxes. Gary Vee did a great job, intentionally, as I understand it, to make sure that the blaster boxes were loaded. He wanted to make sure that the everyday collector could have that experience that you get when you're watching an online break on Fanatics Live or whatnot, where you can hit a mega card. So I'm not going to guarantee one today. However, I have not hit any 101s in Series 2, but I've been sitting on this huge stash. And when I did Volume 1, that was before I was doing stuff online and with video. So it would be really fun if the sports card gods, I've already written a book called The Pokemon Gods. And I put out a book cover teasing it, that I could write a book called The VeeFriend Gods Are Real. So let's find out. Oh, real quick. This is not an endorsement. This is a black cherry soda. Although I do love black cherry soda. So I try to avoid the caffeine. That's a whole other story. As a writer, I love caffeine. I've written many, many books abusing caffeine and staying up all night, many, many nights in a row. But the side effects of caffeine weigh on me, my stomach and the psoriasis and gaining weight. So I'm getting rid of it. Not that sugar does any, it's a little better, but I still enjoy the energy boost of the black cherry. It tastes so good. So yeah, if RBC, you want to give me a call for an endorsement deal, hit me up. In the meantime, let's get back to business. We got VeeFriends. So yeah, in the Card Life Chronicles, first half of that book is me, Volume 3, is me ripping packs, and I document it all, but I'm really ripping packs just because I want to have inventory for my trade shows, right? I don't want to be a typical trade show vendor where I'm like, flipping PSA 10s, buying at 70, selling at 110, all that stuff. I want nothing to do with that. I really go to trade shows because I want to sell my books, but I want my table to have fun stuff, and it is a card show, and my books are about sports cards. So what I want to do is have dollar bins, and I want to have free cards just to give away to kids, and I want the cards that I have presented to be related to the books that I'm offering, right? And so I want to have golf cards, I want to have football cards, I want to have baseball cards. Now I want to have basketball cards. So the idea is that if I hit anything really good, if it's kind of a PC thing, I'll keep it. If it's meaningful to me, and we can get into that. For example, I've started a Dynasty franchise on NBA 2K called the Lost Franchises, and I brought back all the old teams like the Baltimore Braves and the New Jersey Americans, the Syracuse Nationals, and I started in the very beginning in 1983, and I'm using the Kansas City Kings, which is my team. I'm from Kansas City, and it's a shame that we don't have a team anymore. But so basically in the sim, when it's time to move to the West Coast, they're not gonna go. We're gonna stay here in Kansas City. But the point is, it's inspired by my book series because any players that I have on my team, I'm gonna buy their cards and build a PC. So I'm having so much fun with that. And yeah, so tune in and follow my Twitter account. Like and subscribe here because I post all that stuff there. I also will post on Twitter and on YouTube. The standings, statistics, not just the videos. I'll try to really help be like an executive producer and turn those video game franchises into stories. When I was a kid, my whole life I was into video games, and even up to 10 years ago, as an adult in my 40s, I was still playing video games, especially with my son when he was a teenager. But for the last 10 years, I've been so focused on writing that I really haven't played, and now I'm slowing it down. I'm going to try to release a book every 6 months, which I can definitely do probably for the next decade. I have a lot of stuff in the pipeline. But so I'm spending more time now doing stuff like this, getting on social media, because honestly, most nights I'd be writing right now or editing or doing something related to publishing. But I really enjoyed, becoming an active member of the hobby and doing social media stuff and getting back to playing video games. And I found a way that, when I'm editing all day, I can take a break, I'll go play a game of NBA and I'll play with my team. I got, Tree Rollins as my center. I got Bill Walton as my power forward. I got Dale Ellis as my small forward. I got Dominique Wilkins. Dominique Wilkins I put as my point guard, which is wild, and he's been awesome. I got John Sumvold as my shooting guard. I got Craig Hodges coming off the bench. So I've been collecting all their cards, building a PC, and just having so much fun with it. Because the hobby's so awesome, cards are so awesome, and it's a way for me to have an excuse to post on social media, which is a way for me to keep relevant to eventually sell some books, and it seems to be working. I see the charts, and since I've been active, my sales are rising, and so it's obviously worth my time to do it, and I'm happy to do it. It's not work. This is fun. Ripping cards with you right now, or playing video games. I'm on a break, and then posting it on Twitch, which is wild. Like, whoever thought that I'd be a streamer, right, or a podcast host? But here I am, and you know what? I'm having a lot of fun. It's been totally awesome. In fact, now I'm doing a show every Tuesday instead of just every other Tuesday. And then with the Card Life Chronicles stuff, the goal, especially once my son goes off to college, because right now it's hard with he's next door, it's loud, TV, friends over, whatever. But I'll probably put out a Card Life Chronicles hobby update or live rip session once a day, and then I'll have my shows every Tuesday alternating: the rip session show, the community show, and then my flagship show. So it'll keep me very, very busy, and it's a lot of fun. Just like booking my guests and reaching out to people in the community and finding people that I really admire, like YouTubers that I love, people that I love in the hobby that I want to feature, like Michaela Bear, who I'm having on next episode. She's a super collector. She loves Stephen Kwan. She loves collecting all the red cards. She's a piece of work and a true super collector, and I cannot wait to talk to her. It's gonna be awesome. She's a fearless fairy. That's what she is. Michaela, if you're watching, that one was for you. Fearless because she doesn't worry about other people's opinions. You know what? I was really worried about becoming a YouTuber and people's opinions. Then I realized, you know what? I'm really proud of the books that I've written. People don't know about them. I gotta get out there and market. And it's Gary V from VeeFriends who's convinced me that posting on TikTok and posting on Instagram, even on LinkedIn, even on Facebook, where your friends and family are going to see it. Put yourself out there and do it. And I'm so glad I have, because it's working. So Gary V, if you're watching, eventually see this, thanks to you, buddy. You're really amazing, and what you've done for me, I know you do for so many others, and I know you know that. But keep doing it, man. It's great. Impeccable Inostranet always strikes with 100% intent to create the best outcome. Oh, here we go. First time we've pulled one of these. This is a chalk insert. Outgoing octopus. Today's lesson: say hello more. Outgoing octopus teaches that every new friend can open a door you didn't even know existed. When you're brave enough to say hello, the world suddenly gets a lot bigger. I got invited by Paulie to go to Summer League for the NBA Top Shot event, and I was like, heck yeah, it sounds awesome. And when I walk in, I got there early. There was Paulie set up his equipment, and there were two guys there, and I had no idea who they were. They were dressed just like normal guys. One guy's got tattoos and all that stuff, right? One guy's got his hat on backwards, I think. And we started chit-chatting, and it turned out they were two of Dapper Labs, top executives, and one was Matt Vinyls, who eventually I'm on the panel with live on YouTube. And then of course he was my guest. Now here we are, come full circle, episode 7. And by the way, he crushed it tonight. He was so good. We got up to 2,000 viewers. And look, I'm grateful for every single viewer. I remember when I did episode 1. Okay, there was another, Paulie on the Collecting and Connecting Podcast Network. He has many, many podcasts, right? And I just happened to see one that had only like 3 replays. I told my wife, as long as I get like 3 replays, my first episode will be a success. Now, of course, I had Brandon Virgil on. He's the producer of The Card Life. He's a well-known personality of the hobby. He has his own following. And I think we hit 3,000 viewers live. And now so far it's been the highest. But every episode has gotten to 1,000 or more. So I'm grateful for that. And so the truth is right now we have 15 people watching me that I randomly go online at 10:30 at night, whatever. I'm appreciative for every single one of you guys. Thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate you. But it's wild when you go from 15, when I start the podcast tonight, next thing you know, it's at over 1,000 or 2,000. It's wild. And there's actually other podcasts in the hobby at the same time as mine. Actually, shout out to Professor Sports Cards. He's one of them. He'll be on my show in a few weeks. I love that dude. And yeah, but our show is actually very different. And so the truth is, like, the hobby is big enough for all of us. This hobby needs more content creators. I think content creation is what takes this hobby to the next level. You know, when Michael Rubin, everyone talks about how do you 10x the hobby, I think there's a lot of ways you do that. I think you go international. I think you have more and better products. I think you get women involved in the hobby, which is definitely happening. You know, I think you get celebrities involved, which has definitely been happening. They're doing all the right things. But I think also just, you know, having great products like VeeFriends is how you 10x the hobby, because when people have an innate nature, they want to collect, and when you can collect things that make you happy and make the world a better place, hell yeah, man. Let's more of that, please. Selfless sloth. I think it's our third time we pulled this guy. Know that taking care of others begins with taking care of itself. Yeah, it's true. Let's keep ripping. This is the first one for us. Creative Crab. Now, if you've noticed, I have these little things available. I got my glass cases ready for the big hits. We just haven't had any big hits, let's be honest. If I do get any big hits, we'll have a whole display here. But we're starting out in a real slump, and that's okay, because that's reality. I mean, I've ripped over 1,000 packs in my pack opening series before I went to the Card Life Chronicles format. And I think, you know, just off the back of the hand assessment, I'd say that 85% of the packs you open are busts, like worthless crap. You know, but those 15% though can be really rewarding. You know, so I think it's important to do this for the love of the hobby, not as an investment. If you want to do this for an investment, that's fine. I saw a video that Gary Vee owns 50 Jackie Robinson rookie cards. Like, that's awesome, by the way. And he helped I make a killing on that. But whatever. To each his own. My point is, rip because you love ripping and the experience of ripping, the entertainment of it. But don't do it because you think that you're going to pull the Otani double auto patch, you know, card. It's not going to happen. It's very rare. It's a miracle if it does. Don't expect that. You're better off meticulously buying cards that you believe in, that you love, that if the price went down, you'd still want to hold. But then, surprisingly, if those cards appreciate in value, well, then you can flip them and take profits, you know, and move that money to something else. You know, maybe even buy that card back at a lower price down the road, because we know markets go through cycles. In fact, right now, I don't mean to be negative. Just a warning. Again, it's not financial advice, although I am a registered financial advisor, so I'm actually legally allowed to give financial advice. And I love the sports card and Pokemon market because it is so similar to the other markets of the world. But look, you know, the NASDAQ AI bubble could be rolling over. Interest rates are rising, which is bad for lots of different investment classes. We've already seen Bitcoin decline from 120,000 down to 65,000. Even one of my favorite investments, silver, it's had an amazing run, but what goes up, straight up, must come down. Silver was at 30 for years, finally broke out at 50, went to 120. Now it's back down to $60. It probably will go down to 50 because what was once resistance becomes support. So it's still a huge win for anyone that bought that coin at $30. You're still up huge at 50, but you know, market's correct. So right now, when I see the prices of the Michael Jordan PSA 10 86 flare card, it's like a hockey stick. It's gone up like 50x times, right? It's just not sustainable. So be very, very careful. You know, all these people at the National, not only overpaying probably for cards, but they're buying a lot of these cards at their all-time highest prices. And if you're buying them because you think you're going to flip them to the next idiot for more money, that game of musical chairs can only go on for so long. You're seeing it right now in Pokemon, and that could be lots of different reasons why this is happening in Pokemon, the 30th anniversary, the macroeconomic markets, whatever. You know, reprints are coming, but Destined Rivals, Prismatic Evolution, all the new sets like Pitch Black and you know, they're all down bad. You know, they're all down a lot. So be very, very careful. I think that will continue actually because the reprints are coming, because people are selling to load up to have cash, get ready for the 30th anniversary, which is September 16th, which, by the way, my book, Pokemon Gods Are Real, is going to come out that day, September 16th. I did it on purpose. I put the release to line up with the Pokemon anniversary. I thought it would be perfect energy. And I worked really hard to get that book out. It took me a year to research that book, Pokemon Gods Are Real. I wrote it in 6 months, and I spent another 6 months basically editing it and improving it, and, you know, enhancing it. And along that time, I became a real fan of the hobby. I had built a huge ETB portfolio, which actually liquidated, coincidentally or not, about about 6 weeks ago. I got lucky. I think I sold the top, but it was more because, I saw the parabolic rise of all these products. It was more that I wanted to sell it because I wanted the cash. For my Card Life book series, I've bought a lot of other stuff. I needed the money to do that. So the timing was right. Did I know I was calling the top? No, that was a little fortunate. But I did think that the market was really frothy, and knowing the 30th anniversary was coming up, I thought there could be a chance for a big correction, and then it did manifest. But you know what? I'll be buying. I work from home. My day job is a financial advisor. So when there's a Pokemon drop at Best Buy or Dick's Sporting Goods, I can just get out of my house and go on a Friday afternoon. It's no big deal. I can go at 10 o'clock and just be there and get online and get the stuff. And so my feeling is that I'm not going to invest in Pokemon and buy on eBay and buy high and hope things go higher. But what I will do is if I can go to Target and get the end of the line and get my 2 limit and pick up 2 ETBs and enjoy them. They're actually really beautiful. I enjoy them in my office. But if they triple in value, then I'm going to sell them because it's free money. You've made money out of nothing. So that's my plan with the 30th anniversary. That I'm going to I'll buy the ETBs when I can get them, but I'm not going to go to Dick's and pay their marked up price. I'm not going to go to GameStop and pay their marked up price. I'll go where I can buy it at MSRP. Actually, the options are very limited now. It's probably Walmart and Target, probably the only places left where you can buy at the manufactured suggested retail price. But it is what it is. Actually, the best that's ever going to happen is a huge Pokemon correction happens, and it scares off all the scalpers, and then everyone can get their hands on Pokemon whenever they want at MSRP, and it would be great for the hobby, great for collectors. The scalping community is only here because they see an opportunity to make money. But this won't last forever. Nothing does. Everything goes through cycles. So anyway, yeah. Next, Creative Crab. Knows the most important thing is to just start. Yeah, my YouTube channel, it's still so new. It's, but like I'm getting better at my thumbnails. I'm getting better, like I used to, the first few NBA video games, I actually just used the camera to film me playing on the game. It was like the worst technology ever. Amazingly, people watched those videos. I kept them online. You can still see them, by the way. Then I got ChatGPT to help me figure out how to do Twitch and link to YouTube. And so I figured it all out. And now when I play my games, it comes across in crystal clear 4K with amazing sound, and it looks awesome. And I can see how, like, my wife was like, who's going to watch you play video games? I'm like, sweetie, it's not about me. It's about the kid in the Philippines who's in 13-year-old going to bed at night, who doesn't have an Xbox, who loves the NBA and is just intellectually stimulated by the idea that I created a franchise simulation with all these old teams, and the NBA history will be rewritten. Like in '84, Jordan will get drafted, and he could get drafted by one of these new expansion teams, and that's become a storyline, and it's fun to see what happens. And I've watched people play online when I'm on my walks. So over the years, it's been YouTubers that I followed and watched play video games when I haven't been playing, because it's kind of like an interesting voyeurism. And if you love video games, and if there's something on TV or you're on your phone or your mobile, you're online waiting at the bank, like you can watch, you can be doing anything. I think it's awesome that people have been watching me, watching my videos. But then again, it's not about me. It's about the story. I've created a good story, and that's true too. I have an RBL, Republic Baseball League, MLB The Show series, and the team's the Wichita Crows, which is from my book series. And all the players, as many as I can from in the game, are from the book series. And tonight, this is insane, dude. Christian Franklin, who I know personally, he's been a friend. He has my books. We have a long story. I've written about him in my books. He just got traded and then called up tonight to the Baltimore Orioles. He made his debut playing in left field. He got a walk, stole a base, and scored a run. So shout out to Christian Franklin. I am so happy and so proud of you. But he's in the video game, and he's on my team, and he's in my starting lineup. So it's fun to be able to play video games with people that you know from, and you've watched their whole career growing up. He played for the same club as my son, the whole thing. And he's in my book series, and now he's in my video game. And I've been collecting his cards, So the whole thing is just surreal. It's awesome. So I'm having fun with it. Oh, we finally got someone in the chat. Yeah, Paulie, ripping Rampage. You know what? I got started tonight, and because I had packs left over from the rip from today with Matt Vinyls, and I was like, let me just rip these extra packs. And then I was like, if there's people in the chat, we'll keep going. And as you know, I love VeeFriends, and I would love to be like a spokesperson for VeeFriends. I just think it's such a brilliant product. And I've had all these boxes here, and I had to rip them sooner or later. So yeah, we'll have to do it. Yeah, Matt Vinals was so good tonight on the show, and he's become a true friend of mine. We have so much in common, and it just shows the hobby is special because when you watch people at the National, and people get interviewed. Paulie did a great job, by the way, interviewing people at the National. I know he must have had a great time with Banana Mac, but a lot of people talk about, what was your favorite memory of this year's National? What did you like the most? And if you notice, people don't talk about the Whatnot booth. They don't talk about the free pack they got. They talk about the people that they met. They talk about the community. They talk about the interaction that they had, the people they took pictures with. And I found that to be true across the board with the National, and all the people that have went. And that's really unique because the truth is, one time a year, not twice a year with Fanatics Fest, I guess, all these different people who love the same thing can be together. And that's why I've always, that's why I wrote the Pokemon Gods Are Real. And I could have written the Sports Card Gods Are Real because it's apropos, but it is a religion of sorts. It's a metaphor. It's not a literal religion, but it has all the qualities. And by the way, I'm writing the Basketball Gods Are Real right now, guys, and it's going to be slightly different than all my other God is Real books. I realized I kind of had this epiphany talking to my wife the other day. And this is definitely still true up until the release of my Pokemon book. The subtitle is The Religion of Pokemon, or The Religion of Football. And I'm kind of just trying to convince people in the book, if you will, or making the case that, tongue-in-cheek, metaphorically, football is a religion or Pokemon is a religion. And my wife was like, well, you don't really think it's a religion, do you? And I was like, well, no, but it does have saints and sinners. We do have pilgrimages. We do have traditions and rituals that, there's so sort of, and then I realized that maybe that's why maybe some of those books haven't sold as well as I would have liked them to, because people don't want to be preached to, and a lot of people don't believe in God or might be atheists. In fact, I've given out books for free for years, for my whole career. And I remember when in the very beginning, I would give up my Baseball Gods Are Real book to people, like at a youth baseball tournament somewhere in Oklahoma or wherever I was. Some people would think that I was like like a Jew for Jesus, or like a Hare Krishna or something, trying to sell some religious stuff because the book says God is real. And so some people can't vibe with that. And I get that, but that really wasn't what the book is about. The book is a metaphor, but where there's power, positive thinking, where there is Holy Spirit, that's for people to decide. So with Basketball Gods, I'm writing this book differently. I'm still going to use the same format. By the way, Cart Pigs, shout out to Cart Pigs. I'm not sure that the comment was about. But anyway, so the Basketball Gods Are Real will be subtly different in that I'm still going to have a lot of the same chapters. So the pillars of the book will be the same. But this book will not be about me preaching, why basketball is a religion. It's going to be about why does the sport of basketball bring meaning to so many people's lives? Think about those millions of New Yorkers that were standing watching the game outside of the Garden night after night for the entire playoffs. And when they lost, they wanted to burn the city down and throw trash cans and whatever. And when they won, everyone was hugging. It's like a Grateful Dead show. Strangers were hugging strangers, right? Community, that feeling of camaraderie. Human beings long for connection. We long to share experiences with others. And sports of all kinds and hobbies and things of passion of all kinds bring us that. It doesn't matter if you love chess or if you love cycling and you're in a cycle club, whatever you love, when you're around like-minded individuals, that's when you're actually probably in most alignment with your true self, right? That's when time passes and you don't even know how much time goes by. But right now with me, I don't know how long I've been doing this. I guess I gotta look at the clock now. But when you're doing what you love, time is irrelevant. It goes away. It dissolves. So I find that when I write books, it's the same thing. The reason why I'm able to stay up all night is the coffee, right? But it's also because I'm so in love with what I'm doing and I'm so in the zone that I don't even think about time because it's irrelevant. I'm going to stay up until I'm done getting out this, whatever the universe is trying to pull through me. I got to stay up until I'm done, delivering that, and that's kind of how it feels. There's times that as a writer, you don't feel the vibe. You don't feel the need to say anything. Other times you feel this like burning angst is how I would describe it. And like even you'll be at a family dinner and you feel that I gotta get home. I got more ideas to share. I gotta write down my phone so I don't forget. It's just how the creativity flows. And in my Music God series, I've had a chance to interview lots of different musicians, like Joe Bonzel of the Oak Ridge Boys, rest in peace, by the way. And I remember with him, when I interviewed him, he talked about how creativity is like a faucet. And when the faucet is on and the water's flowing, the songs and the lyrics and the chords just come to you. But that faucet could stay open for a long period of time, and sometimes it could start to close. And then you get, writer's block or whatever. And I'm grateful it's never happened to me. But frankly, if it did today or tomorrow, I'd be cool because I've written so much already that I just have to really just edit and produce it. I've already written probably my career's body of work, although I do have more to write. So don't get me wrong, guys. But the creativity faucet is something that you can't control. It's something that maybe you can foster it through meditation, yoga, prayer, whatever. But I also kind of feel like kind of like how Rick Rubin talks about creativity. He's that famous music producer, and it's sort of like an energetic flow. And when you're feeling it, you're feeling it, and when you're not, you're not. And the worst thing you can do as an artist, as a creator, is try to create something when you're not feeling it, because then it's going to be inauthentic and it's going to suck. And my best work I have found, again, I've written stuff that I think is better than others, but I found my best work as a writer is when I'm like a channel for this energy. And sometimes I write. I learned in high school, we all took typing classes, right? So I could type without looking. And I swear to God, I'll get into the zone writing. It could be 3 a.m, and I got my coffee and I'll just like auto write. I don't even know where it's coming from, but yet I'll look back and the next day and it's totally rubbish. It needs to be edited, but the goods are there. Like the what I wanted to say is there, and then with a quick edit, spell check, boom, it's there, and it's ready for its next editing round. So creativity is a funny thing. And by the way, even if you're a fellow YouTuber, when you're creating your thumbnails, even if you're working with ChatGPT, who makes creativity easier, but you know what, you'll see a lot of YouTubers whose thumbnails are identical, and a ChatGPT YouTube, when you see it, but you can talk to your ChatGPT, and this I learned from Gary Vee, by the way, and you can talk to your ChatGPT or your whatever AI you're using and customize it and make it your own. And you can say, no, I don't like what you just did. Change the background, use different colors, use different font, and you will, the AI is self-learning, and it will eventually learn your personality, and you'll start to create better. But the point is, chat can execute for you, but the ideas still have to come from you. And so creativity still has to come from somewhere. And, again, creativity won't always flow, but, when it does flow, be grateful. Anyway, back to the cards. Sorry for that digression there, but I guess that's what makes ripping cards with me fun, is that sometimes I'll just rant. Anyway, back to business. Slang Slug moves with such confidence in herself, it inspires others to do the same. Okay, so this is our first yellow refractor. So this is unique to the blaster box, and they're not guaranteed, but you typically will get like one per blaster, and this is another set of card that would be a great set builder, because there's one of each. And I actually know Jake from the baseball card store, he does with Series 1. He built it into a complete set of just the yellow, which I think is cool. And then we've seen this one before, but I love it. The Chill Chinchilla knows when to let things roll off. All right, let's keep going. All right, so Paulie says in the chat, comment your most memorable NBA moment, and maybe the gods had a hand in play. Yeah, that's right. DeJounte Murray circus shot. Faithful pheasants. Competitive advantage. Builds trust by showing up consistently over time. Yeah, I mean, that's a Gary Vee thing, right? You got to be consistent. You got to keep putting out content, and you can't be discouraged if no one's watching your stuff at first, because let's be honest, no one knows who you are when you're a brand new YouTuber, and it's very easy to get discouraged. I have felt that, but you have to just keep plowing through, because if you love what you're doing and you're passionate about it, who gives a crap? Just keep going. If no one's watching, just keep going. Sooner or later, someone will. Seth Rogen is an actor. I'm sure you guys have known him. He's in a lot of great stuff. And he once did an interview. He talked about, the idea of quitting as an actor, because how many actors in LA are waiters right now who haven't had their big break, right? And he basically said how if you don't quit, you might actually one day be a success. But if you do quit, it's 100% guarantee that you will not be a success. Now, I personally believe in reincarnation, but Gary Vee says you got one life to live. What do you got to lose? So he inspired me to become more, vocal and put my face out there on social media for sure. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are watching right now who have a story to tell. Maybe it's just because you love cards and you want to, open cards too, but you haven't had the motivation yet. And you're like, maybe you're in your 50s and you're like, what am I doing? People that really watch me, don't worry about it. Just do it and enjoy yourself. And you might be surprised that people actually might find that yeah, you're compelling, unique, and everyone's unique. Everyone's got their own take and something to say. And frankly, I give a shout to Paulie for finding people like me, because his whole podcast network is filled with personalities that are really eclectic, that wouldn't meet the mold of someone who would be on ESPN or ABC or whatever. And I think that's awesome, because it's very authentic and it's real. And there's lots of people out there with different, come from different backgrounds and look differently and different shapes and feels and whatever. But it does not mean that they don't have a compelling story to share. In fact, there's lots of people out there who rather watch someone who they can relate to, who's kind of just like a normie, than some kind of polished, person on TV who's, been photoshopped and had plastic surgery and whatever. So I think authenticity is refreshing, especially in today's world of AI, where you're not even sure when you're watching something if it's real or not anymore. Some of them are so, some of them are synthetic and very obvious, but some of them are really good. And you have to show it to your kid, who probably has a better intuitive sense of what's AI or not. All right, so here's a long one. The world has plenty of love. Start listening to it. That's classic Gary Vee. I don't know what this character's supposed to be. It's like the planet or something. Loved by many because she turned them away from choosing negativity and pessimism. I mean, that's just beautiful stuff. All right, another yellow. One of my super cute characters. Gracious grizzly bear. Competitive advantage. Chooses to be kind and courteous, even when their strength could overpower. And here's a fun one. And this is kind of a fun one because of the name, respectful raccoon. Like, raccoons are known for always going through your garbage in your backyard. But this raccoon is respectful, which I respect. Treat others for who they are, not for what they can offer. I'll drink to that. Again, not an endorsement. Black cherry soda. All right, let's keep doing this. Oh, Kawhi Leonard shot. Favorite top shot moment from Evan 8532. Evan, have you fallen in love with any VeeFriend characters yet? Like Forever Phoenix or Tolerant Tuna? Let me know your favorite character. Tolerant Tuna stays calm and open-minded, giving it clarity when others get spicy. So that's an interesting one. Forever Phoenix. Important metaphor about the phoenix rising from the ashes. Even if you have failure in your life, I've had setbacks and failure in my life, and my biggest takeaway was after you finish licking your wounds, dust your shoulders off like Jay-Z and get back up and start again, maybe building something new. But you never give up. You have to always pivot and reinvent yourself. What comes to mind? There's a YouTuber, one of my favorite YouTubers. It was a show named Hollywood Rips, and it was a guy named Hollywood, and he had his best friend as his host. And they didn't get a lot of views. They didn't have a lot of followers, but they had really good content. I loved their show. And then I guess Hollywood moved to Vegas or somewhere else, and the show was destroyed. And I'm gonna have him on my show, and I follow him now. I still follow him on YouTube. I follow him now on Instagram so I can reach out to him. But he's totally pivoted. He kept doing the show Hollywood Rips by himself for a while, and you know what? It wasn't the same. I think he knew that too. He felt it. But you felt it when you watched it. The brotherhood, the camaraderie, the two best friends was awesome. Well, anyway, so the show was basically kaput, and he pivoted because he's a trade show dealer. And now he's creating content of the life and times of a trade show dealer. You watch him do deals, you watch him interact with people, you watch him set up, shut down, and it's really compelling content. And the thing is, his hobby is so big, and there's so many different types of community members. And there's some people who are haters and they want to watch, sports card radio and Professor Sports Cards and be angry at box prices and all that shit. And that's fine. And then there's people who love watching, Jeff Wilson and his stuff. And that's great, man. And there's people who love watching Roth Cards, where all he's doing is making deals. And I think it's so neat, actually. People are saying that there's not enough content in this hobby, and I think that it could get more. And I think that it will get better. In fact, I still use like rudimentary technology, but I noticed that Professor Sports Cards did a blog talking about how he could not believe all the technology and all the sophisticated camera work that was going on at the National. So many people are YouTubing themselves, and they're starting to use really sophisticated technology. So everyone is kind of upgrading, and that's awesome. But it's cool because, there was a time when television controlled your life. There was no way to get any other entertainment besides, the channels on your TV screen. And this started when our parents were like in the 50s, when they had to like literally turn the knob and they got like, 12 channels. And even when we had cable, of course, Bruce Springsteen has that famous song, 57 channels and nothing on, right? Because, you may have a lot of channels, but if it's crap on TV, who gives a crap? And the truth is, on most TV networks, even with YouTube TV, when you're watching this, the basic stuff at night, there's nothing on that you really want to watch, or just some replays of stuff, and there's no sports on after 10 o'clock or whatever, depending on when you live. So people are now watching YouTube on their couch the way they watch regular television. YouTube is becoming what Google probably had always envisioned, which is its own network. And now you can watch, here's another Gary Vee thing. He talks a lot about how we used to be in social media, where when you would go on TikTok or Instagram, you basically would see your friends' posts. And not that you don't love your friends, you're following them for a reason. You want to see what's going on in their lives. But it's just their stuff and seeing them on vacation, whatever. But the algorithms changed. I think TikTok was probably the first to do it, but now they're all doing it. Twitter will have like the For You and then the whatever. So there's customization there. But the algorithms now at TikTok, for example, are designed for not social media, but for interest media. If you notice, even on Instagram anymore, you don't, 10 times, you don't see your friends' posts. You see posts of what you like. Because Instagram is watching and tracking what you give likes to, what you comment on, which videos you're watching for longer, and what is its goal? It's to make money selling advertising. So their algorithm is designed to make you stay on that platform as long as possible. What is the best way to get you to stay on TikTok as long as possible? It actually makes a very, very clear sense. Give the people what they want. And so you're now noticing that people, all the advertising is shifting online because people have their phone with them everywhere they go, even if they're on their couch. And now you can send it to your TV big screen anyway. But YouTube, and not just YouTube, but TikTok and all the social media is now giving us interest content. And if people freaking love sports cards, then they don't want to watch a rerun of Friends or Stephen Colbert. They want to watch sports card content. And so, like guys like Jeff Wilson, I know he's polarizing, you kind of love him or hate him, but I give him absolute props. He created a freaking studio in his store, Cards HQ, and when he does his shows, it looks like an ESPN production. So I don't know what it costs to do that, and I'm sure that lo-fi Fink technology here in my office downstairs with my phone and my laptop can be just as compelling, and there's no reason why people have to spend that kind of money. But it just goes to show that the industry is rising to the occasion, and people are delivering content that is worthy of your television. And here we are right now. It's 10:45 at night in the Midwest. We're almost midnight on the East Coast, and we got now 136 people hanging out, enjoying cards and talking about the hobby. Because why? This is what they love. They love the hobby, and so I love it too. So I'm thrilled to be part of it now, and I encourage you all to do the same thing. By the way, so many people who are spending so much money ripping wax and spending all this money, create an LLC. Go on to a website, create an LLC for $100, and then create a YouTube channel. Get your phone, and every pack, do a pack opening, and now it's a business. Why? Because eventually you might get enough followers, enough views to make advertising revenue. So it really is a business, and you're doing what you love. And who knows? Maybe you'll become the next greatest YouTuber out there. I mean, I'm amazed how I see all these kids who have become millionaires. Why? Because all they were doing was just doing what they love. Whether it was just like a Logan Paul just sharing his life story, or I saw this new YouTuber named Strawberry. Her name's Kira, and she gets like 50,000 views an episode. Now, eventually she might get sponsored. She might do some in-product placement, but just from her YouTube revenue, she's been able to fund her love for the hobby. She makes enough money off of YouTube that she can buy the packs that she wants, and that's awesome, you know? So I say that, you know, more power to you. And the same way that, you know, guys like Clever Cuban, I mean, like he looks like he's got his little glasses and stuff like that. He looks like a typical, you know, unathletic kind of nerdy kid, but people love him, and he's got a huge following, and he's now becoming a big time personality. He's on with sports card nonsense, and who knows whatever. I think he's at the white party. You know, good for you, man. Like, you know why? Because your passion is authentic. And like next 2 weeks I have you know, a guest coming on who is one of the most authentic, you know, card collectors I've seen on YouTube. And I can't wait to have, you know, Michaela Bear on to talk about her love for Stephen Kwan and her obsession with collecting red cards. In fact, hold on real quick. Check this out. So I have a stacks and stacks of cards, and I'm constantly living the flip life, you know, going through them and deciding, you know, which ones I'm going to, you know, give away for free, which ones are worth, you know, going on eBay and flipping. And so I found this Stephen Kwan card. That's her favorite player. And people were wondering if the Cleveland Indians were going to be sellers or buyers. And I know she was hoping and praying that they weren't going to deal her favorite player. She would have been heartbroken, I'm sure. And they did not. And I think the Cleveland Indians have a good chance of making the playoffs. So that's cool. But the key thing about her and how I became aware of her and how she got featured on top is because she loves pink, purple, and red cards. So I have all these cards to show her that I just found them in my stash. This is Joe Montana. This is Sebastian Wilcock. This actually is a numbered one out of 199. Jeter Downs. By the way, if you're a parent and you name your kid Jeter, you definitely love baseball. That's awesome. How did they know that this kid was going to be a superstar baseball player? There's Dane Myers. Eli White. So actually, it's a shame. I already had mailed her a couple of books, but I'm going to mail her all these cards after we do the interview. We got an Arizona State player, Tyson. Zach Veen. And then James People. What's weird is it's sort of like that that red car theory. You don't notice a red car until you see one on the street, and then you notice them all the time. I didn't realize just how many pink and red cards. Now, I know there's a whole parallel pandemic, right? Topps is constantly printing more and more parallels, which, by the way, I think is a good thing. I think people love the parallels, actually, and I think it's great for the hobby. I'm actually a big fan of parallels. And if it wasn't for parallels, Michaela wouldn't get to have an obsession of super collecting red cards. So I just think it's awesome. And what's also awesome is we got 245 people now in the chat. I just want to say thank you so much for joining me. I don't know if you are a Collecting and Connecting Podcast Network follower, if you love NBA Top Shot, maybe you love VeeFriends, and you saw that I'm ripping VeeFriends tonight. So real quick, we got the Forever Phoenix rises again and again, turning every fall back into a new beginning. We got the Heart Trooper, leads with heart even in the toughest moments. And this is a new one. We got the Big Game Bandicoot. Let's read this one. Competitive advantage. A master of taking calculated risks with unflinching confidence. Now, look, in order to get on the gallery, you got to earn it. I don't think, for as much as I like the yellows and the chalk and the X-Fractors, in order to get in the gallery, it's got to be numbered. It's got to be special. You know what? Yeah, let me see what comes next. Here we go. I did pull a manga card earlier. That probably should have gone in the gallery. I forget which session that happened. That should have. Oh, hold on. Let me get that card out. The manga should have gone on the in the gallery. Let's be fair. Hold on. Yeah. What am I doing? I think Gary Vee might just say that the Red Devil design, that insert might deserve the gallery. I'm going to hold off for now. He also might argue that the X-Fractor might deserve it, but for now we're going to hold off because I'm expecting some big hits tonight, guys. You know, I'm not gonna. You know, we're now. By the way, the chat just keeps blowing up. We're now at almost 600 people. I remember when there was like 14 of you. So thank you for everyone who's just joined me. We are ripping VeeFriends tonight, Topps Chrome Series 2. And we got our first card we're going to add to the gallery. We got the Self-Aware Hair. I always keep the glass magnetics nearby because I think it's good luck. You got to expect big hits that deserve to be put in glass. So yeah, to be honest, now that we're at 600 people, this is actually kind of like what I dreamed of. So thank you guys for making my dreams come true. I always hoped that if I ever did this online stuff, that I would just be able to go on randomly and late at night, after the sports are over when there's nothing good on TV, and I can just rip cards and have a chat group that I can hang out with and enjoy this hobby together. So thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate each and every one of you. I really do. It means a lot to me. It's interesting. I probably wouldn't have done this if I didn't have a book series, but I'm glad I'm doing it now. But it's just like with the book series. Like you write books and you start small. You don't get a lot of feedback, and then eventually it starts to grow and people start buying your books. You start noticing someone will give a 5-star on Amazon, or like tonight, I literally got a text from someone who we follow each other on Facebook, but we've never met. And it was someone who is in the Kansas City car community who found my book and read it. And he sent me a picture of the John McEnroe photo of his auto in the back of the book, the PSA 10, saying, "Love this card, really enjoyed your book." And we texted for like 20 minutes. And it was Gary V. Shout out to Gary V. He always said, if you're really trying to build your social media, you should be texting and replying to every single person. If someone has taken time out of their life to say thank you or to give you a shout out, even someone in the chat, I'm going to acknowledge you. I'm going to reply back. I'm grateful for every person, because I think, I've got to pull a gratitude card. But gratitude is one of the key secret sauces of life. I learned this from yoga as a yogi. But when you're grateful, when you don't worry about what you don't have, you don't envy what other people have. You should just be grateful for what you do have, whatever it is, however little it is. I watched a YouTube video earlier today on my walk. It was like how this Pokemon investor went from $1,000 to $1 million. It's an amazing story, but it starts small, and you have to grind. All right, back to business. I kind of lost my train of thought there. Here's a wily wild boar. He's actually kind of cute. Competitive advantage combines clever strategies and quick thinking to outsmart opponents. VeeFriends does have a TCG game. It is not taken off yet in a big way, but it's another way that VeeFriends is tackling this space in such an awesome way. Even just from a marketing perspective, if you want to have longevity, if you want to have respect from the community, if you want to have multiple ways and avenues to acquiring customers and gaining revenue from them, it shouldn't just be about the cards, and it's not. It started with NFTs. Now it's Topps Chrome, which is what I love the most, but it's also stickers. They also have gumball machines with little balls that come out and you open them up. It's their comic book series. It's their cartoons. I mean, it really is great. And I can see how VeeFriends really can become a powerhouse intellectual property. Now, I know right now in TCG, now there's Paul World, and there's Magic the Gathering, and there's One Piece, and Pokemon has been a monstrosity. So it's sort of like, what market share does VeeFriends have? What market share could they carve out? I'm not so sure yet. They don't need to carve out a huge piece of that pie to be really successful, in my opinion. But what I think is more important is that the pie, I think, is going to continue to grow. It was very clear. Now, look, Gary V predicted this, and I featured this in my volume 2, The Flip Life, that non-sports cards was going to become a major thing. And that's definitely happened. He's helping further that movement with his own VeeFriends series, of course, but you're seeing a lot of that at the National this year, for example, and that's going to continue. And as more and more, like tonight with my with Matt Vinyls, we talked about how he loves G.I. Joe. I loved G.I. Joe as a kid. And if G.I. Joe comes out with NFTs and a Topps Chrome series, I'm going to rip Topps Chrome, hell yeah. So, I think that as more and more, how about the Smurfs? Is the Smurfs a card set yet? When the Smurfs becomes, if Panini should get their hands on the Smurfs license ASAP. Think about how many characters there are and the parallel opportunities. But I literally was like Saturday morning with the cereal, watching the Smurfs, and I love that show, and it brings back the warm fuzzies, and that would be huge. And so I could just see how non-sports cards will continue to grow. Now, Gary Vee, when you watch his videos at the National, he just for investment stuff, you got to go with the vintage, like rookie card, Batman, and the Hulk and that stuff. And I'm sure that's probably true, especially because it's in very short supply. But as far as growing the hobby, it's the new products that will get the most marketing buzz and attract the most newcomers, I think. And I think the non-sports card space is going to just grow huge. And so even if they only carve out 1 or 5%, well, that's going to be 1 or 5% of a growing pie. So that could be big. All right, now we're getting out of control. We're almost at 800 viewers for this. And that's insane because when we did the show tonight and we had 1,000 viewers, I was like, all right, that's awesome. What a great show. It's been a success. When we logged off, we were at 2,000. We probably could have kept going. But to be able to share this pack rip with 800 people who loves cards as much as I do, I'm grateful for all of you guys sharing your night with me. I appreciate it. I purposely did schedule my card show for a Tuesday night because it's not a typical big night where people are watching other stuff or doing other things. That was strategic. And then tonight, this was an impromptu rip because I had extra packs that were left over from my show. And then I thought, you know what? If people are watching, I'll just keep going. And oh my God, I just saw a little heads up of what's coming next. We got some gallery material coming. But first, the Hungry Hammerhead. Competitive advantage. Knows there's only one life and limited time to act on ambitious goals. Now, look, Gary mentions a lot about we only have one life to live, so make the most of it, and I agree with that. I personally subscribe to the spiritual theory of reincarnation, but all the more reason to live every life to your fullest, because if karma and dharma are real, then everything you do in this life is being calculated and measured, and the way you live this life, how you treat others, the good that you put into this world, that will, according to the Hindus, for example, the yogis and the Buddhists and other religions who believe in reincarnation, they believe you'll be rewarded in that next life. But in this life, if you're cheating on your wife, if you are lying and cheating in business, if you're doing things that are, beneath your morality and character, if you treat your body badly, these are all things that create bad karma. Well, who knows? I've personally found a lot of the stuff to be true. I can't prove reincarnation per se, although there's definitely stuff out there. University of Virginia has a whole field of over 1,000 cases of kids who reported their past lives. There's thousands of people who've done past life regressions who've been able to retrieve memories from their past lives. So it's a far out concept. I know that, but the point is, either way, yeah, live life to the fullest. And if you have a dream and you believe in it, go pursue it, and don't let the naysayers hold you back. If I let the naysayers prevent me from writing my first book, or my second or third, or starting a podcast or becoming a streamer, then I never would have done it, because most people are going to put their own insecurities ahead of your own. And their insecurities will say, well, don't put yourself out there like that. What if it goes badly, right? Well, if you're optimistic, then you can say to yourself, well, what if it goes really well? What if I put myself out there and do a YouTube stream and just open cards and just talk about philosophy and spirituality, and 818 people show up? But if it's just like the Seth Rogen thing, for all those actors out there who haven't made it, well, you haven't made it yet. But if you quit, you'll never make it. So I think that that's just an important way to live, and your words manifest. So when you say hasn't happened yet, that tells the universe it's still to come. Anyway, we got a big card to show. Here we go next. Here we go. We got a original sketch selection of the rare robot. And there he is, the man himself. Yeah, so proud of you, Gary. I mean, you've been an entrepreneur. You've been successful your whole life. But I'm sure if he's watching this, eventually sees this, I'm sure you know that VeeFriends is your, it'll probably be when you become a 5% owner of the Jets. But what you've done with VeeFriends is simply brilliant. And so it's cool that you're in the product. But if he's smart, he needs to know that, like, Martha Stewart has to eventually, that company has to get beyond Martha Stewart living, because she won't be around forever. And so it's important that VeeFriends as a brand is built to last long after Gary Vee's retired. Now, look, he'll live to 120, I'm sure of it, and he'll be active every day since. But if this is going to go, become the next Pokemon, it's got to be built where it's important for him to play a role, but it should be less and less focused on him over time and let the bird take flight on its own. But it's cool that there he is with the original sketch, because remember, this all was started with hand-drawn sketches from Gary Vee, probably was in high school, bored to death, being lectured at with bullshit, learning how to play the recorder, and his mind was daydreaming, and he was writing all these characters out. And what a beautiful universe he's built. And by the way, I know his ultimate dream is to build an amusement park. And dude, I hope I live to see the day where like there's a VeeFriends theme park in like San Diego. It'll be epic, because we know that when everyone goes to that park, they're gonna leave transcended, right? They'll leave like spiritually different, because they will be immersing themselves in a universe that is filled with love, kindness, generosity, all these important traits. And so this is why with my episode tonight with Matt, I teased that my goal is to convert him into a VeeFriends collector, because I feel so strongly about this product. It's just that effing brilliant. Anyway, Rare Robot. In 2021, every VeeFriend was created from a hand-drawn sketch marking the original version of each character. So not high school, obviously. This ultra rare card showcases Gary Vee's original drawing of Rare Robot. Now, Rare Robot is a kind of a kooky character because he's not an animal or anything like that. But you know what? In today's day and age, the robot is becoming a part of society. I don't know if you noticed that Elon Musk now has one of his robots living in his house as like his personal maid. And we're going to see more and more robotics taking over a lot of the jobs that we don't want, right? How many cotton pickers are out there, in the hot sun doing a job they hate, So I'm guessing the robots will eventually take that job, right? And, even though people are scared that AI and robotics will take a lot of jobs, and they probably will to certain industries, in a lot of ways, it'll make our society a lot better when they're doing the jobs that not just we don't want to do, how about are too risky to do? There'll always be firefighters, but those brave firefighters are putting their lives on the line. They're going into these buildings, and they're, and sometimes they don't come out, and like I was on 18th and 5th of 9/11. I lived through 9/11, and could you imagine if we had a bunch of robots we can send up into that building to save people and put out fires instead of having it save, having to put human lives up there into that hellscape? Something to think about. So for as much as I fear, like the all the end time prophecies that have been depicted in all these Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, I hope that the AI revolution will not end badly. I hope it could be a good thing for society and make our lives better. So one can only hope. Last, we got Peace Salad from this pack. Even small wins feel like a championship for them. Yeah, I mean, when I started my TikTok account, I was grateful for every new subscriber, and I still am. Now I'm almost at 4,000, but it's like, so many people are so focused on the destination. And what I have found in my life that I've became a black belt. I've set goals and achieved them. And I'm always setting new goals now as an author and whatever, and as a money manager, which is my financial advisor career. But I've also learned that, don't miss out on the journey. All these individual moments, all the little milestones, all these little temporal markers along the way, those should be, the shirt moments in feel like a simcha, right? Like the Yiddish terms. You got to enjoy those each way. And if you do, then the journey is fulfilling. And then when you finally reach the goal, you reflect back, and the experience is actually so much more meaningful. But yeah, because again, you should be happy today, live in the moment. Kenny Chesney, I saw him play at the Sphere a few weeks ago when I was invited to the Summer League NBA Top Shot event. Just total Music Gods intervention. I've been writing a volume 4 for Music Gods, and I review shows and write about the experience. I got to go to see Kenny, and he opened the show with a song called Here and Now. And lots to be said for that, man. Yeah, it's always good to set goals and to be planning for things, but let's not forget the now moment, and smell the roses and appreciate, and be grateful for what you got, where you are, and all that good stuff. All right, back to business. Zestful Zebra earns its stripes by bringing contagious energy to every dazzle. We haven't seen this one yet. Brilliant Barb. glides through the depths of life with creativity, vision, and insight. All right, we got a yellow one. Gifted gopher. Believes their gifts are meant to be shared. This might be a new one for us too. Alert ape. Swings through obstacles with razor-sharp instincts. Lots of references to instincts in the VeeFriends material. I think that's awesome, and I think learning how to cultivate instinct is an important thing to learn. Black cherry, not an endorsement, although I love it. And if IBC wants to endorse me, I would literally like put a banner around this screen for black cherry soda. It's the best. Next pack. Something we haven't seen yet. Polished poodle. Knows the only way to get polished is to start and keep learning. We discussed this earlier. You know, as a YouTuber, when I was doing my my Xbox Sims, I first started out shooting video on my phone of the TV. It was really pathetic, but I got better. I figured out how to become a streamer. Got on Twitch, linked it to YouTube, and now my videos are awesome. You know, so it's all about the spirit of continuous improvement for sure. But the polished poodle really emphasizes that. This is a new one. Balanced beetle. It's pretty amazing how deep the number of cards and characters they have. Knows that life isn't about red or blue. It's about purple. Yeah, so this is interesting. Gary, I've heard him say he doesn't get political. Red or blue means Republican, Democrat. Purple is like being a moderate, a little bit of both. In fact, politically, for as much as our country is as polarized as probably ever, we've been polarized as ever many times throughout history. And typically, the most polarization comes from the extreme fringes. You know, the MAGA far right or the social democrats on the left, right? Majority of Americans are actually in the middle. Most people are actually moderates. Just something to think about, right? The people who make the most noise are usually a small minority. Warm Wolverine, being warm. This is an important one. Creates an environment that makes anyone feel at home. Then macro, micro. Rare ability to see 20 years ahead while acting fast right now. So we now just passed an hour and 30 minutes, 840 of my favorite peeps joining me. Thank you so much. I'm guessing some of you guys could be on the West Coast. It's only 9 o'clock at night, no big deal. If you're on the East Coast, it could be midnight. And for all I know, someone watching right now could be like some 15-year-old kid enjoying their summer. And if that's you, in bed, getting ready for sleep, watching me on the phone, and you're dozing off and you fall asleep to me, what an absolute honor. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to sleep watching my favorite YouTubers, you know, because when you're watching what you love, you get relaxed, it puts you in a good vibe to go to sleep and hopefully have great dreams. Because the last thing think about this, when you go to bed watching someone on YouTube, in this case opening sports cards, but it could be doing anything you love, okay, as opposed to watching the nightly news. The nightly news is, remember, the point is the last thing you're thinking about is something beautiful and happy. If you go to bed to the nightly news, your last thought could be about a shooting or something, or kidnapping, something terrible. So since your subconscious mind is influenced by your thoughts, right? I think it does make a lot of sense actually to go to bed listening. If I tend to listen to something when I go to bed, you know, some people just like the lights out or watch TV, but listening or watching something that's got a happy, high vibration makes a lot of sense. Then you go to bed with those happy vibes, and maybe it actually leads to happier dreams. And I know we all have dreams and bad dreams for different reasons. It's probably our higher self or soul trying to send us messages and whatever. But I personally don't like the bad dreams. I prefer to have the happy, awesome dreams, you know? So I think that maybe going to bed, the happy stuff is awesome. And so right now, if someone's falling asleep, you know, I say, I wish you good night, sleep dreams, and hope you have, you know, awesome deep sleep with awesome fun adventures in your nighttime memories. Here's an offense-oriented orangutan, the first one we pulled of this guy. Entirely focused on their next move and spends no energy worrying about what others are doing. Another important one, you know, I mean, fear of missing out is such a big problem in society, especially for like the high school kids and whatever, right? You know, middle school kids, you don't get invited to the sleepover or the cool kid party, all that stuff. We've been through it ourselves. We go through it with our kids and all that stuff. It's very, very hard to learn to be happy, to do the opposite of the fear of missing out. But yeah, the more you're content with who you are as a person, the easier it is to do that. But I get it. That's still a challenge for most people. Articulate armadillo has a powerful voice and uses it for spreading good. This might be my new favorite one. Hopefully, I'm a articulate armadillo. You know, I used to have a speech impediment. I used to speak very, very fast. I think I probably do speak fast for most people. You have to forgive me. I grew up in New York, but that's part of it's just an expression of my enthusiasm. But when you do a podcast, it's got to sound good, especially when those are listening on Spotify and can actually watch me and see my mouth moving and all that stuff. So I'm learning to stay passionate and enthusiastic and speaking a little slower. So if I'm speaking slower and doing a good job, maybe just drop it in the chat and let me know. Here's a whimsical wolf. Power source. Imagination. Thinking differently and staying playful keeps his mind lit up. Now, the truth is, you know, when it comes to creating content in the sports card market, and hobby rather, I wanted to do something different. And this pack opening, Card Life Chronicles is different. My Rip Sessions show, no one else is doing that. And then, you know, the flagship show, that's kind of, I borrowed that idea from Hot Ones, the Hot Ones podcast, you know, got ripping packs and doing a one-on-one interview. But no one else was doing that in the hobby. So I do hope that the 3 shows that I have brought to the hobby have actually added value and have been, you know, worthy of your time. And so I really appreciate you guys joining me tonight. 11-11, that's good luck. If you're into spirituality, all ones is good luck. Here's a caring camel. Always gets over the hump. That's just so cute. So now I'm wondering, can we get over the hump? Are we going to get over 1,000 people tonight? It could happen. Either way, I'm grateful for each and every one of you. 842 people. Amazing. We had 2,000 on our live stream tonight for the podcast. That I expected. You know, Matt Vinyl, who's from Dapper Lab. He's from NBA Top Shot. NBA Top Shot is a huge following, and I recognize that when I have my guests on, you know, a big part of people who are watching is part of their following. So I don't ever take credit, you know, for a good turnout. You know, I always kind of tell Paulie, my producer, who, you know, shout out Paulie if you're still watching. I always say that the host is only as good as his guests, right? But right now I have no guests. I think the host is only as good as the packs he's ripping, and so far we haven't pulled any heat. We only have one pack in the gallery, you know, one card in the gallery. Maybe I'm being too strict on what deserves to go in the gallery, but let's try to hit a banger. Here we go. Badass Bulldog, Observant Oyster, Authentic Anaconda, Monday Mole, Perspective Pigeon, Kindred Kangaroo, Driven Dragon. I'm just curious, chat. Do you like it when I open the cards like a whatnot box breaker and just like blast them out, or do you like it when I slow it down and I read the back of each one? I'm curious to get your feedback because I'm good either way. In fact, all the talking is getting my mouth really dry. I digress. Let's keep going. Yeah, so I've always loved ripping packs. You know, when I was a little kid, I loved it, and when I got back into the hobby, I loved it just as much. And maybe that's why I love doing it. Why we all love doing it, because a lot of us did this hobby as a kid, and we remember the way it made us feel. You know, it's a joyful feeling, and who wouldn't want to feel that way all the time, right? So. Again, it can get expensive ripping wax, which is why I'm going to be moving into my junk wax era soon, because those boxes are super cheap and affordable. And maybe, by the way, a sneaky good investment opportunity, side note. But anyway, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, you know, I know that Topps Chrome update comes out for basketball in 2 days, and I'm definitely going to be buying 4 blasters for sure, and I'm going to write about it. But I saw some guy do a post on Twitter today, and he found in the wild boxes at a Walmart, and they charged $45 each. That's a lot for a blaster value. You know, they call it value box. It's not value, man. It's a blaster. It's not a good value at that price, probably, for the amount of cards you're getting, for sure. But the point is, after tax, it's $50 a blaster, man. Like, not cheap. So the point is, if you're in your 50s, get back into junk wax. Find stuff on eBay for like 89 Topps, 89 Donruss for like $35, an entire hobby box. Which, as a kid, you would have dreamed to be able to afford an entire hobby box. And now I got a huge stack under my table that I'm going to rip through eventually and write a book about it. Logical Lion, Blashful Blobfish. All right, here's the deal. We're just going to keep ripping until we hit a big card. Then we'll slow it down again and start reading the backs of them. because the self-aware hair is getting very lonely in that gallery. I've only had one card worthy of being considered a real hit. Courageous Cockatoo, Skilled Skeleton, Dynamic Dinosaur, Swaggy Sea Lion, Skilled Skeleton with the Chalk, Optimistic Otter. He's super cute. Look at that guy. He's just a cutie. Great artwork. And then also a Candid Clownfish. He's really cute too. Let's give him a read. He's new. Swims with fearless honesty, saying what needs to be said so the tides don't turn. Good stuff. Eager Eagle, Tolerant Tortoise, Gracious Grizzly Bear, Warm Wolverine, and then boom. Now, I'm guessing the Motivated Monster has got to be one of the bad guys. I have not gotten a chance to read the different comics or watch their stuff, so I haven't seen the Motivated Monster in action, but I can tell you, if you look at this guy, he looks pretty freaking scary, but yet the manga design is so beautiful that I'm going to have to say that the Motivated Monster is going into the gallery. It's going to get glass. Here's a Profound Possum. And we got to read this one. Look at this one. The Conviction Cockroach. I mean, Gary even gave a cockroach a character, and they do have conviction. I used to live in New York City, man. Those guys do not freaking give up. Survives life's hardest stumps with determination, always crawling back stronger. Yeah, they say that when a nuclear bomb goes off, the only thing that survives are the cockroaches. That's disgusting, but think about that. And why is that, right? What the hell? Like, what is it about the other bugs don't survive, just the freaking cockroaches? What? Maybe it's I don't know if it's true or not. That's what I've heard. All right. So again, I could have put some other inserts. We've pulled some X-fractors. We've pulled some yellow refractors. We've pulled some chalk cards. But I didn't think they were worth going to the gallery. I was a little hoping for higher, bigger bangers. But the manga cards, that's my favorite design. I love those. And so anytime I pull a manga, it's going in the gallery. All right, next pack. Oh, hey, Drew FTV just wrote cheers. What's up, Drew? By saying cheers, I'm guessing you might be from Europe. Are you from England, Scotland, Ireland? Let me know if you are, dude. Because if you are, that's freaking awesome. I did notice, I did go to my analytics on my YouTube channel, which, it's only been around for a few months. It's still very, very new. I was late to YouTube. I was on TikTok and other socials earlier. But I noticed that 88% of my followers are men, which is pretty cool because, nice pennants, Matt. Thanks, dude. Yeah, I mean, I collect them. In fact, the pennants are all over my office, and I continue to add new ones. Anytime I go somewhere, I buy a new one. In fact, I went to Vegas for the Top Shot event, and I went to a Las Vegas Aviators game, and they were sold out of the Aviator pennants, but I bought a Oakland A's pennant, which is actually right behind me over here, because they're moving to Vegas and will probably be, kicking out that AAA team, I think. We'll see what has to happen there. But yeah, it's funny, a YouTuber's got to have like a good backdrop, and I've had these in my office always anyway. They were always there for me. And by the way, when I do my shows, I always wear a jersey, and I've been collecting jerseys for years, especially with baseball. Through my son's entire career, I had a good luck ritual that I always wore a jersey to his game, and if he played well, I'd wear the same jersey until he stopped, playing well. I'm very, very stitious, as they say, which is why it was so easy for me to write my God is Real series, because writing about baseball superstition and rituals, that comes very natural to me because I'm a very superstitious guy. When my son during his career, I would even sit in certain places, and if he was playing well or playing shortstop or I didn't want to make an error, I wouldn't move until the game ended or the inning. Or if he then had an error, then I would say, oh, shit, I got to move somewhere else. This is bad energy. Now, I know, and most people who are superstitious know that this is ridiculous behavior, but we don't do it because we think that the baseball gods are going to interact and help us and intervene. People do it because it gives them peace and calm in a circumstance that's out of their control, right? I can't control how my son plays or what happens when the ball comes to him, or if it's going to be a chopper at shortstop or bad hop or whatever. But you want him to do well, so you're just kind of like, try to calm yourself down. I think that's most reason why people have rituals and superstitions. It makes sense. So anyway, Matt, yeah. So about collecting, yeah, I got some bobbleheads and stuff like that, but the pennants are one of my more favorite things to collect. And I'm still new to YouTube and social media. It never occurred to me how awesome my office would be for a backdrop for my shows. But yeah, so I appreciate that, Matt, because I love them too. And as you'll notice, they're pretty eclectic because of all the, frankly, unique adventures that I've been on as an author and as a baseball dad. First with my son, but also by I followed around my apprentice John Perrin as he was coming through the minor leagues, and I wrote about that whole adventure in my book series, The Baseball Gods Are Real, volumes 1, 2, and 3. And so when I would go to the Biloxi Shuckers, or I visited him when he was in AAA pitching for the Colorado, Sox, I'd pick up a banner everywhere I went. Lately, actually, I've been collecting banners that are like retro. Like I picked up a old Kansas City Kings banner. I picked up an old Kansas City Blades hockey team banner. Those teams are bankrupt, don't exist anymore, but they're part of the awesome history and heritage of Kansas City. And I wrote a book called Hockey Gods Are Real, so I love hockey, and actually interned for the Kansas City Blade hockey team, which came after the Kansas City Blades. No, sorry, sorry. There was another team before that, the Scouts, that were in the NHL that came and went. But I actually interned for the Kansas City Blades while I was in business school. I got my MBA at University of Missouri in Kansas City. And I actually would work in their marketing and sales department during the day. And then I put in hours at night. And whenever there was a game night, I would literally be the guy on the ice, moving the pylons around for like the intermission events where they try to like score a goal, whatever. And then I used to do all that stuff. And so that was a lot of fun. It was no big deal. The place was always empty. They were like basically an independent hockey team that eventually went bankrupt. But it was a lot of fun for me. And I've always loved sports. And so, before I became a financial advisor, before I became an author, I was exploring different careers, and working for a sports franchise was something of interest to me. And that was a great internship. And I have a lot of awesome memories of that. And I hope, Kansas City, gets a basketball team and a hockey team school soon. Matt, thank you for the reply. Amazing reply. Thanks. Yeah, dude. My pleasure, dude. All right, Sufficient Shrimp. Charming Cheetah, that's a new one. Sprints into anyone's heart with wit and charm. Okay, so this is one of my favorite characters. I actually PC a couple of favorite characters. My two favorite are the entrepreneurial elf and the bullish bull, because I'm an investor for a living, so bullish bull is like a reference to being bullish and optimistic. And then, of course, I love the lucky black cat. But this is the first entrepreneurial elf we've pulled tonight, so that's awesome. Here's an X-Fractor with a boss bobcat. We got a spiffy salmon, and then the confident cobra. So he kind of scares me. He probably should be a bad guy. Look at his eyes. He looks like he's stoned. But the confident cobra was one of the main characters in the packaging of Series 1. So he's probably a very popular character, and I love the idea of confidence, but I'm not a big fan of snakes, so it's kind of hard to get excited about that guy, if I'm being honest. This is a new one, the Oak Monster. We got to read this. Never forgets his roots, allowing him to grow massive and strong. I mean, Gary V, this stuff is so brilliant. I mean, like, everyone, I hope, has a job that they love, and they look forward to going to work every day. And I know that Gary's involved in a few different things, but how freaking excited you must be, dude, to go to work every day building something from nothing, and look what you've done with it. Look what you've done with this place. What a brilliant concept with the Oak Monster. Because, look, I saw Gary did an interview with King of Cards. King of Cards is a YouTuber. He does trade shows. He's become so popular that King of Cards at the National, he would have a line around the corner just to meet with him, shake hands with him, do a trade with him. And then and of course, like most of us, we worship Gary Vee because he's been such a great influence on the hobby, and he's been a great role model for all of us entrepreneurs. And they did a video. I think Gary records probably everything that he does these days. And so there's this video that comes out of him talking to King of Cards and talking about the King of Cards' newfound fame and how he's dealing with it. And Gary's like, it goes one of two ways. You become proud or you become humble. So when I tell you that when this stream started and we had like 10 people in it and I was grateful for each and every one of you, I am humbled that there's now 853 of you hanging out with me on a Tuesday night, ripping some VeeFriends. And I think about, yeah, I'll be doing this all the time, especially more after the summer. And we'll rip all kinds of stuff. But I feel like when I rip VeeFriends, I'm actually making the world a better place, because not only will this video be live tonight, it'll be on the Collecting Connecting YouTube channel and on my channel forever. And long after I'm gone off this planet, which will hopefully be after I'm 100 years old, I want to live a long, awesome life. But this video will still be around, and someone can stumble upon it in 50 years and be entertained, have some fun, maybe go to sleep to it perhaps, but also to get some knowledge from it. And remember that there are people out there in the year 2026, like Gary Vee and Jonathan Fink, who are trying to do their part, making the world a better place. And I feel like when these messages and these concepts and these character traits get talked about and repeated over and over, it's gonna infiltrate global consciousness. And if and when it does, that's how the world becomes a better place, and that's how we all leave this planet better than we left it. And Gary, I hope you become so successful with this product that you eventually can buy the jets. But you'll be achieving much more than wealth if this is a huge hit. You'll be doing your part in making a huge karma down payment, because you've done a huge service to the planet. And I know that Topps is now trying to go global. They just launched their first store in London. They're now opening next in Munich. The sports card market is going to go global. It has not yet. And when it does, out of all the products in the world, now I know that there's basketball is already huge in China and probably in Africa. Soccer is obviously huge everywhere. But you know what? Like, certain products might not be relatable and popular everywhere in the world. Baseball, for example, is probably only going to be popular in a few countries. But VeeFriends can be popular everywhere, because everyone can relate to a genuine giraffe. Not admired for their size or status, but rather by how real and open they are to others. Talk about real. That character's real. Tremendous tiger. Gratitude gorilla, one of my favorites. Articulate armadillo, who I aspire to be. Sensitive centipede, and glowing glowworm. All right, we only got 2 cards in the gallery. We need some big hits. Now, look, I love that VeeFriends, even their base cards, are kick-ass and awesome. But for those who are watching here and want to be entertained and want to see some bangers, we have not delivered yet. And I'm gonna pull through for you guys. I will deliver a banger before this stream ends. Although we are approaching 2 hours, which, by the way, will tie my record. I did a random Pokemon stream at midnight a week or 2 ago, and went till 2 in the morning. And I'll have to check, but it was a few dozen people. It wasn't 854. So you guys are amazing. You're awesome. Thank you for enjoying this hobby with me. I appreciate each and every one of you, man. I really do. I'm gonna keep saying it because I really am grateful. It's awesome. I'm thrilled. I would do this probably anyway if no one was watching, but that would not be nearly as rewarding. Being able to share and talk VeeFriends with 800 people is just epic. So yeah, so thanks again, guys. Well-rounded warthog, honorable ohm, YOLO yak. Okay, so when you see that kind of color, it could be a few different things. There is an insert that we have not seen yet. Like, it's called, I forget what it's called. It's like a combo duel. It's like 2 characters together. They kind of mesh their character traits. It's clever. It's not so well in the aftermarket, unfortunately, but they're clever. It could be that. We will see. But it could be something extra special. It could be a numbered card that I haven't seen yet. Competitive clown. Yep, it is. Yeah. It's practical and optimistic. It's called a balanced battles. And this one is the optimistic otter with the practical peacock. It reads, at first, optimistic and practical seem at odds. Dreamer versus realist. optimism without practicality is often delusional. Practicality without optimism sets the bar too low. Together, they win. I dig that. Turned tick, humble hedgehog. We just talked about how when people get famous, they can become full of themselves and become pompous, which does not end well from a karma perspective, I'm sure of it. Or they become humble. They become so grateful that whatever they've been creating and producing, people finally appreciate. And I know tonight, I've been writing a book for 10 years. I don't get shout-outs from fans that often. And I got one tonight on Facebook from a text from a friend, a Facebook friend, someone who just friended me, and I said yes and whatever. I don't know them personally, but he read my new sports car book and loved it. And then I actually asked him to give a 5-star review on Amazon. He said yes, and he did that. And it really means a lot, man. I mean, like I take my career as an author very seriously. Just like with Gary and VeeFriends, I have a mission and a purpose writing these books. I don't just do it for the show. I do it because I'm trying to convey these important themes and messages. And I'm willing to be a patient pig. Believe me, I'll be very patient. I'll continue to be. But when people start to find your books and resonate with them, and they let you know that they loved your book and they felt so strongly enough that they wanted to tell you about it, it's the best. It really is. It's a great feeling, and I'm appreciative of that. So I'm humbled by it. Anyway, yeah, humbled hedgehog. All right, one more pack from this box, and then we'll see where we're at. We have now. We're about to tie the 2-hour record. I'll be honest, my back is starting to hurt a little bit. Being in this chair this whole time. Maybe what I would do is this. If you're up for it, I might take a quick break and do some stretching or whatever, and 10-minute break, and then I'll come back. If you guys want to stay on the stream, I would do that. That would be pretty sweet if you guys stuck around for me. I do notice that on Twitch, there's so many people on Twitch, thousands and millions of people watching people stream. And there was this thing called Streamer University a few weeks ago. I don't know if you've heard of this. I asked my son about it. He was aware. Basically, a lot of these popular Twitch characters, YouTuber, streamer people, got together and they stayed in a house together. And so they can like share each other's content and collaborate. And literally, these people had their Twitch on while they were sleeping. And so I was flipping through different shows on Twitch, and I'm like, Nate, my son, I'm like, are there 5,000 people watching this guy freaking sleep right now? And he was like, yeah, they're waiting for him to wake up. They want to see what happens when he wakes up. And I'm like, oh yeah. The point is, that sounds crazy, but you know what? It's not crazy. Why? Because we're in not social media, interest media. People want to consume content of what they love, what interests them. And if a certain personality, for whatever reason, interests them, that's what they want to follow. That's fine. Do whatever the frick you want. And the fact is, those people, that kind of content is not going to be on traditional television. It won't even be on cable. But it will be on these new platforms like Twitch. And again, the Age of Aquarius, which has already begun, was supposed to bring technology and the connecting of the community of the global populace, and all these interesting things are going to happen. Old structures getting turned over and put on their heads and whatever, like oligarchs and dictators being toppled, that sort of thing. And so, which has also begun. Like, look at Venezuela, for example. So anyway, I digress. Let's rip some cards. Sensible Sommelier, Radical Rabbit, who's a very cute character, Befuddled Burglar, Passionate Parrot, and here we go, people. We got a mega head. Gallery Material, Heart Trooper. Your poor relationship with time is your biggest vulnerability. And then Gary B. So Gary B is the character. That's it's like his alter ego. This is Gary's character. It's the B. So we'll read it. Respect for others spreads like pollen, creating relationships where wisdom flows freely. It's great stuff. All right, we digress, and we'll do a mega head. Put it in the glass. I gotta tell you, my office does not get great airflow from the air conditioning. I gotta look at that. It's getting a little hot in here. When I take my break, I'll keep the doors open. I kept them closed because I don't want to have any conflict with my son. I want him to be free and do what he wants. But I also want his music and stuff to infiltrate what we're doing here. But I think by now he's asleep. All right. So now we got 3 in the gallery. But we still haven't pulled any number cards. We still haven't pulled anything extra special. And then during the show tonight, Matt was like, let's see if you can pull a Livy Dunn card. And I told him then, and I'll tell you guys now, I've yet to pull any Livy Dunn cards. She must be in short supply. She must be intentionally a real chase card. But maybe we'll pull one now. You got to be optimistic when you're ripping wax. Let's go. Let's go Blaster. So Blaster, only 4 cards per pack. But I like the Blaster because it's got a lot of upside. The Mega Box is more predictable. It's got a lower ceiling but a higher floor. Investment talk there, but the idea is that there's certain guarantees like the Mega Head, and there's certain inserts that you're going to get, which give it a good floor, because you're gonna, if you want to sell this stuff, if it's for profit, you're ripping for money purposes, you'll make back a lot of your money with those couple of inserts. With the Blaster Box, that won't be necessarily true. You could have a bust here or there, but there's 1-on-1 blast-offs in this stuff, which, again, last year I pulled a 1-on-1 blast-off. It sold for $2,000. And like the Erupt, which is basically like the VeeFriends version of the Kaboom, actually the same artist, the 1-on-1 Erupt Black Cat sold last week on a Fanatics auction for $132,000. That's big-time money. When Shrike pulled a Cooper Flag auto over the weekend on video at the National, he called it life-changing hit. And the truth is, it is a life-changing hit. It could be a down payment on a house. The Cooper Flag's worth about $100,000. Same as a 1-on-1 Black Cat. So the VeeFriends, I love it for the collecting. I love it for the beauty of their characters and their mission statement. But if people are into cards for flipping, a lot of culture right now is not about PC for things you want to collect forever. It's more like your portfolio. People are like, Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tanks, and they think of sports cards as investments. And by the way, they are. It's an alternative asset class, no different than art or silver and gold or Bitcoin. It's an alternative asset class, and it does have value. Now, should they be traded on the market like a stock exchange? That's a different issue. But on Main Street, it's real value. Tolerant Tortoise, Gracious Grizzly Bear, Dapper Dashhound Yellow Refractor, Aspiring Alpaca. Yeah, honestly, when you rip the Blaster, there's more upside, so it's more exciting. But the 4 cards per pack is not rewarding. I think there should be more. And I like the Mega Box experience better when you get 7 cards. It feels like a more satisfying rip. By the way, those decisions are not even made by VeeFriends. They're probably made by Topps. They buy it's a licensing deal. Once Topps has the license, they basically are in charge. I'm sure Gary and his team have a huge influence, but that only goes so far. Warm Wolverine. People complain about price inflation and shrinkflation, and I don't like it like anyone else doesn't like it, but corporations, their purpose is, this is not socialism or communism. We live in free market capitalism, and thank God we do. And the purpose of a corporation is to enrich their shareholders. Their purpose is to make money. And whether Fanatics is private or public, it doesn't really matter. You still have shareholders, and that's the point of commerce, is to make money. So I get it. I personally think it's like a pendulum. If prices get too high, if it gets too crazy, people will stop buying the product. It won't be and if people don't buy the product, the prices will come down. They might add more cards per pack to make the product more interesting. Supply and demand is always at work, if it's allowed to work. And that's why I'm a big believer in free market capitalism. A lot of people have a problem with America today, and they say that capitalism has failed us. Well, that's crony capitalism. Big difference. If our government gets corrupted by nefarious forces and they steer capitalism in the wrong direction and it becomes crony and fraudulent, that's a different story. And that needs to be eradicated. But that could be a real problem. But that's for another day, another topic. Let's keep going. We got a good card coming up here. Helpful Hippo. Yep, it's another combo. Now, it's not 2 in a row, two packs in a row. Balanced Battles. Knowing Gnome and the Curious Crane. Knowing and curiosity are different. One brings certainty, the other asks questions. But when balanced together, knowing keeps you sharp, and curiosity opens the door to new possibilities. Saying maybe keeps learning alive. Now that we're at the 2-hour mark and my back is aching, I haven't gone to the bathroom in 2 hours. I will have to take a break soon, but I'll keep going if you guys will keep going. And I'm actually curious to do an experiment when I do take a quick break. I'll keep all of this on, and I'm curious to know how many of you are here when I get back. Will the number get cut in half? Will the number increase? Will the number stay the same because all of you actually are asleep? I don't really know. But it says we got 859 people watching this stream, and that is freaking amazing. So thank you guys so much. I hope you find this entertaining and knowledgeable, and you enjoy my little tidbits of wisdom. And I hope you love VeeFriends. I'm ripping this pack, these packs, because I love VeeFriends. I'm only going to rip what I love. That's the whole purpose of this hobby. And I have a ton of VeeFriends because I'm obsessed with it, and I haven't gotten the chance to rip through it all. And doing a master kind of live rip session just seemed like appropriate, given that I featured VeeFriends tonight on my show, and I had like unfinished business. I still had packs to rip from that mega box, and so I finished those packs, and now we just kind of keep going. So again, maybe at in 10 more minutes, I'll take a quick break, and if you're when I get back, if you guys are still here, hell yeah, dude, we'll keep ripping. All right, cool. Yeah, the fact that people are watching this rip right now is totally validating why I even created this show to begin with. To be able to interact with people in the hobby, in the chat, to share the rips. When I was, for years, I was doing rips by myself, and I would just show up at the baseball card store, and he knew, and Jordan Neal knew I was an author, and I would always have my shoebox, and I would shoot him in for the next box, and he'd be like, you rip a lot of wax, Jonathan. Maybe you should make some YouTube videos with it and make it a marketing thing. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I don't, that's not my cup of tea. I don't. And then what happened is I got interviewed for the Card Life television show. And last November, I had to drive down to Chanute, Kansas, where Neosho Community College is. Now, Matt Strom, who, by the way, oh my God, Matt Strom got DFA'd tonight by the Royals. Now his ERA is over 7, which is insanely bad for him. He was an all-star just 2 years ago. But I cannot believe they cut him. I'm shocked. He might line up on the Yankees or the Phillies or the Diamondbacks, and maybe he needs a week of rest, and he'll be amazing in the playoffs. He's a lefty with a nasty slider and tremendous playoff experience. So he's going to play well in clutch moments. Shame on the Royals. Anyway, he's the host of The Card Life. And so I didn't know this, but he had just dedicated the gym to Neosho. He paid and dedicated the gym, and he had all new equipment. And they have these giant pictures of him on the walls in his baseball card, format, whatever. It's amazing. And they did one of his segments where he ripped cards with Steve Murray, who's the Neosho Community College head coach, same coach who recruited him and coached him during his years. And watching him rip packs, I was kind of like, Jordan Neal is right. I got to be ripping packs online. And by the way, what if I ever hit a mega card? Wouldn't it be cool to have that on video to share with the world, a God pack, whatever. So I've been doing it ever since, and it's been a lot of fun. But you know what? I appreciate the grind. I had opened the YouTube channel late, but I did it 7 months ago when I started those pack openings. And I had done over 1,000 pack openings, and I only got to 55 followers, which was not very impressive. What is impressive and interesting to me is that it wasn't until I started my video game series, the Republic Baseball League on Xbox with the MLB The Show 26. I started the Lost Franchises on NBA 2K with the Kansas City Kings. And I started the College Football League based on the book Spirit to the Gridiron, where I play College Football 27. And amazingly, all those videos, those new videos, just jumped past on my rankings of all my old videos, because people are loving my new content. And it wasn't that they didn't love the old content, but I wasn't showing my face. I was just opening the cards. And I was getting like 4 or 5 views per video. And I was thrilled because it's better than nothing. But when I post, a video of my, RBL series, I'll get almost 100 views now. And my channel's starting to grow viewers. Now I'm about 72 subscribers. And so, again, I'm grateful for every viewer from you and every subscriber on YouTube. And it's rewarding, especially after grinding and not having the success and not giving up, to finally have the success. It does feel good. It is very rewarding, and I'm enjoying it. It's fun that my content is being enjoyed by other people, and whoever it is. Thank you. I love it, and I've been able to incorporate all that stuff with my love for sports cards, and so it's fun. By the way, real quick, these are now. Every time I do an update, I'll post a card if I have a card that I've been able to acquire, and this one I found in my stash. Check this one out. Dominic Wilkins. He's, by the way, playing awesome for me so far in the franchise, the Kansas City Kings. And then I just recently opened I did a basketball rip session, and this guy's not on my team, but it's the Kansas City Kings, which is the team that doesn't exist anymore. So that's worth me showing on my feed. And then this one, hold on one sec. This one came in the mail today. It's the first one that has showed up in the mail. This is a Tree Rollins card. Now, Tree Rollins, Atlanta Hawks. When I loved him, he was with the Hawks, and this is his Hawks picture. But he's played on other teams since then later in his career. But a great photo of him. He was a shot blocking monster, and he's been really good so far on my team. And yeah, I'm going to collect all the cards of all the players. I'm only playing a round robin season, so I only play every team once. Then we go to the playoffs and do a full playoffs. So the goal is that I'll be able to move season to season rather rapidly. I'm starting the first one, 1983. But the goal is that my player roster will turn over the years, so I'll have more and more new cards to collect. And again, I'm not looking to spend a lot of money on cards. A lot of times I've been buying just dollar cards off eBay with free shipping. But it's like I'm a curator. I get to kind of pick and choose the cards that I want to collect based on the design and what year it was and whatever. And I'm having just so much fun, full geek, nerd mode here. And that's what it's all about. Just doing what you love in this life and living your life to the fullest. Woke Walrus. Hustling Hamster. Cynical Cat with the Chalk. Mindful Minakawa. Mindful Minakawa was one of the characters from Series 1 that came back for Series 2. Top song. Last Glass Standing, paying homage to Gary's love for the wine industry. That's how he got his came up through the wine business. Determined Dolphin. Amicable Anchovy. Likeable Leopard. Yeah, so we're going to finish this box. I'm going to take a 10-minute break, do a couple things, get a drink and whatever. And I don't care if the deal will be, because right now we're at 863. If there's I don't know what number, 400 people still in here, we'll keep going. If the number has dropped to like 20, then I'll probably call it a night. But if there are people waiting for me to keep ripping, I will not disappoint you, and I will come back energized and we'll rip some more, and we'll set a new record. We've already created a new record. I've now gone 2 hours and 13 minutes live. The record was 2 hours. But yeah, I'll take a break in a couple of minutes, and then we'll keep going. If you guys want to do it, I'll keep doing it. Likeable Leopard, Amicable Anchovy, Determined Dolphin, Last Glass Standing. To be honest, I'm kind of getting a little competitive. I'm looking at that number of 863, and I'm like, that's insane. I'm so grateful that many of you are hanging out with me tonight. But it would be even more sick if we can get over 1,000. So come on, let's get it going. I don't mean to be greedy. But yeah, that would be a sick milestone. I wouldn't deny that. Stun Sun, Bubbly Buzzard. Whoa, this one is very rare, and this one is definitely me. The whole Car Life Chronicles format is being spontaneous. You'll never know when I'm going to do an episode because I never know. It's whenever I feel it. But the spontaneous seahorse is a yellow refractor. Her excitement always turns moments into momentum, and the motivated monster. Next pack. So yeah, this has been crazy because Matt and I were on my show tonight for 90 minutes, and now I've been online with you guys for 2 hours. That's 3.5 hours. That's also a personal record. That's crazy. No wonder my back hurts. My old chair kind of broke, and so I'm using an old chair. It's kind of a stiff chair. It's probably not the best one for a back of someone my age, but I digress. Positive Porcupine. Be the bigger person. Organized Ostrich, Joyous Jellyfish. You know what? I'll tell you this. Sooner or later, the mathematics are going to lead to a big hit because we've not had a lot of success tonight. And so when I get back, if we do another round and keep going, if you guys are still here, the big hits are going to come. So fingers crossed on that. Awesome African Civet, Moral Monkey, Patient Pig, Amiable Anchovy. All right, one more pack. By the way, one of my doors in my office is stuck. So when I open it, it's gonna make a huge, loud banging sound. So I'm just giving you a heads up. Don't get frightened. And if you're sleeping because you've fallen asleep watching the stream, I hope it doesn't wake you up. And if you did fall asleep watching me, I thank you. What an honor that you chose me to be with you and hang out with you while you went to sleep tonight. So yeah, so thank you for that. There should be like a metric for how many of your viewers are actually watching or they've fallen asleep. You haven't pulled this one yet. Like a sponge. Let's read it. Soaks up lessons, feedback, and perspective to keep growing. Yeah, again, my old boss, Mark Romeo, he used to tell me, it's all in the spirit of continuous improvement. And if we all lived our lives like that, it really is such a liberating thing because I've released books where I found editing mistakes and whatever. It's so frustrating, but you know what? Now I try to remember every time that mantra. It's all in the spirit of continuous improvement. It's okay. It happens. Nothing's perfect. Even tonight when I was interviewing, Matt Vinos from Dapper Labs, they run NBA Top Shot. He's their executive producer. He's like their top dude. And he was like, look, I'm not always going to be perfect. I never will be. It's just, I just do the best that I can and try to be the best that I can be every day. So like a sponge, always in the spirit of continuous improvement. Fearless Fairy, Magnanimous Maltese, back to back. I love the anomalies because like with a God pack in Pokemon, when you open enough packs, you have to think about how these printing presses work. How does it do it? But if it prints enough packs, sooner or later, the collation will create weird alignments. So we got to now read the Magnanimous Maltese back because we've not pulled this card yet, and we just pulled two back-to-back, one base and one yellow refractor. And then we'll take a quick break. And then we will find out, drumroll please, how many of you are still here when I get back in, my guess is, 10-minute break. Being noble, generous, and forgiving is a long-term power move. Jesus preached forgiveness, and I think it's so big that it actually is the key. It's the elixir to unlocking a lot of soul growth. So much resentment gets holed up in us, and honestly, resentment is unhealthy. People get gray hair, they get sick, they get cancer from holding in negative thoughts, bad feelings, which creates tension and hypertension and creates stress and high blood pressure and so many other ailments that manifest from that. And your thoughts are powerful. So with that, I'll leave you with a positive note, which is tomorrow is the best day of the rest of your life. So be looking always optimistic that no matter whatever happened today, tomorrow could definitely be better. Okay, so we only have 3 cards in the gallery. Again, I was strict because I didn't do just any insert. I was really hoping for some special cards. I do consider the mega heads and the mangas to be special. But if I get back and we got a few hundred people in here, we'll keep going. So thank you for joining me. You take a break yourself. Go get a drink. Go use the bathroom. I'm gonna do all that stuff. I won't be too long. I'm not gonna make a pizza. I won't do that probably when this stream is over, but though, or something like that because I am gonna get hungry too. But I'm gonna take a quick break. I'll be back. 2 hours and 20 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm leaving here. Let's remember this. Yeah, I'll write it down. 862 beautiful souls are here with me tonight. So God bless all of you. And when I get back, we'll see how many are left. And leave in the chat what you think the number is going to be. Maybe over or under 400. What do you think? Over 400 or under 400? I'm not going to give my opinion yet. I'll tell you what I'm thinking after, or what I'm hoping for. All right, back soon. I'm not going to log off. I'm going to keep it on so you guys know I'm coming back. Even if we don't keep going, if this goes to 0 and there's no one here, I won't keep ripping, but at least we'll sign it off so that the recorded footage has a good closure. But if I get back and you're here, we're going to keep ripping. Let me give you a little teaser. I still have the original mega box that I had planned from all the boxes that I had set out to rip here, but I literally had like a stack of these. So we got more blasters. I got more megas. So if you're still here, I will keep ripping. You guys take care. Back soon. Oh, guys, guess what? My phone died. So while I'm gone, I will also charge my phone. I think having the second camera is a really cool feature. So we'll get my phone charged back up a little bit, and then we'll keep going. If not, then I'll just show the cards like this, and then I'll just show you the gallery stuff, as we go. So in the meantime, let me try to maybe do this. So this is how you know I'm coming back soon. You guys take care. See you in 10 minutes. Thanks for your support. Best live stream ever. You guys are amazing. Back soon. Get ready for the loud sound of the bang, the door. It's gonna sound like a crashing sound, so heads up. All right, quick update. The phone is charging, and I was gone for 2 minutes, and not one of you have left. So I just added a new person. So I was gonna say, so either you're all sleeping on me here, or you're really the best community of all time. You might be the best community of all time. That's insane. So the only way I can confirm that, someone's got to leave a comment when I get back that you're watching, because otherwise I'll have to think that you're all sleeping on me here. All right. And if that's true, that's actually okay because it's recording. And so people can watch this video stream, like I said, years from now and enjoy it. But for the people who are live, 864 people, give me a shout out. Let me know you're alive. Otherwise, I'm going to assume you're all sleeping. And if you're all sleeping, I might have to shut it down when I get back. But no, I just got haha too funny. Wow. Drew and FTV. You're awesome, dude. I'm grateful for you, man. So you're not all sleeping. All right, back in 10 minutes, guys. By the way, there's a huge mess. There's just like wrappers everywhere, all over the floor. I gotta clean it up later. They're sticking to my feet. And by the way, recap. These were the two hits from the show tonight. The pulls of the day. A competitive caterpillar out of 99 and a genuine giraffe out of 75. That's pretty sweet, dude. And by the way, the number cards, we love them because they're numbered, so they're more rare and they're more valuable, but they're also cool designs. They're always different than the base cards. So they're just awesome parallels, which I love. Yeah. All right, Drew FTV, dude. I appreciate you, bro. You're awesome. Thank you for letting me know you're still awake. All right. 10 minutes. Back soon. Phone charging. Okay, we are back. So thank you for letting me take that little break. I had to do it. We had been live for 2 hours straight. But when I left, there was 864 people. All right. I thought there'd be 400. I thought half the people would leave in the 10 minutes that I was gone. I was probably only gone for 5 minutes, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it was 10. But there's now 867 people. So we actually added 3 people watching. Amazing. Let's rip. Let's do it. All right, let's check my phone real quick. It's still like in its early charging phase. I'm not going to set the phone up because I don't want to risk it failing on us. But let's get it charged, and then we'll use it in a minute. No big deal. Plenty can do it the old-fashioned way. So I am wondering, those of you who are watching tonight who are not asleep, how many have watched a VeeFriend rip before? Is this like your first time being introduced to VeeFriends? Because I find that people become aware of things when they become aware of them, and VeeFriends is still pretty new. It's not as big as Pokemon yet. So if a lot of you guys are new to Pokemon, to VeeFriends, that's awesome, because I love the fact that then I'm helping spread the word about this universe. I don't even want to call it a product, because to me it's way more than a product. It's like a mission, right? Dynamic dinosaur, swaggy sea lion, eager eagle, kindred kangaroo. 4 base cards. It's a bust. It's okay. On to the next one. I really don't want to leave tonight's session without a mega hit. And I feel like I literally have a chapter in the Card Life Volume 3 called the 101. So I have a PC of all 101 cards. It's not a huge PC, but it's like half dozen cards or whatever it is, but it's growing. But 101s are unique. Why? Because in a world of parallels and millions of cards, there's only one of it. So a 101 is special. And so that they're fun to own, because it's sort of like, I don't do it to Peacock. I'm doing it because it's a fun chapter idea, whatever. And I'm collecting people that I care about, that you like, whatever. But I want to pull a 101 tonight for you guys. That would be awesome. Tolerant tortoise, gracious grizzly bear, warm wolverine. Yeah, so I'm sending a signal to the VeeFriend gods that let there be a 101 in one of these packs tonight. Please, please, please. Because frankly, we've not pulled any numbered cards tonight. I did pull 2 from one mega box in the box that I opened during my show, my podcast tonight with Maddie Vinyls. But since I've been with you for 2.5 hours, no numbered cards, only 2 mangas, only 1 mega head, and then a bunch of inserts that are not going to move the needle for me. Helpful hippo. Woke walrus. This is a cute one. Yellow refractor for a caring camel. Logical lion. Yeah, that's wild. We're at 867 people, so we've actually added 3 people since the break. I thought for sure we would lose people. Unless, well, again, I still have a thesis that 99% of you, except for Drew FTTV, are all sleeping. And so therefore, the number won't change, because you can't turn me off, but you also, because you're sleeping. And by the way, I'm not insulted. I'm honored. Hustling hamster. Last glass standing. You guys know that I like the oak monster now. He's becoming one of my new favorites. The oak monster in yellow. And then, come on. This is such an important one. Optimistic otter. Always thrilled about his next at-bat, while acknowledging he's not guaranteed to hit a home run. But he's optimistic. Your thoughts manifest. And believe me, negative thoughts will create more negative things in your life. I've lived it. I breathed it. I wrote about it in my first book, The Baseball Gods Are Real. I have, the law of attraction. Those who are familiar with it, it's secret sauce. There's something real to it. Determined dolphin. But it does make common sense. If you're negative, then it creates less opportunity for good things to happen because you're not in a mindset for good things to happen. If you're optimistic, you're open to all possibilities that things could get better in your life or in your business or in your relationships or whatever, or in your hobby. Stunned sun. Vibin vampire. He's actually quite cute. I don't know what they call this insert. Power source. Spaces where others feel comfortable being themselves. Candid clownfish. Yeah, I remember talking to my wife about this car life thing, and she's like my biggest skeptic, and she's like, "Wait, people are gonna watch you rip packs?" I'm like, "Sweetie, I've watched other people rip packs for years, and it's entertaining. You know, what cards are gonna open? I mean, it's better than watching a rerun of Friends that you've watched a million times. And if the host or the breaker is entertaining, like their personality, then it's more than the card. It's a combination of the things. It's the cards, and the entertainment value of the personality who's opening the cards. So so I think honey, people watch people open wax. It's what they do. Yeah, that's what some people choose to do, which is freaking awesome. I love it. Bubbly buzzard, especially when you love a product and can't afford it or can't get access to it. You absolutely love watching other people rip because you live vicariously through them. You want to see what you could have gotten. You want to see what was in there. And sometimes, like tonight, for example, in this session where it's been bust city, you're kind of like, oh, it makes you relieved. Oh, shit, great. Good thing I didn't spend $500 buying all those crazy blaster boxes that I was going to buy because I would have maybe gotten nothing if, and I've been disappointed. It could be the opposite, though, because I could pull a one-on-one tonight still. And then it might be like, oh, shit, I have the fear of missing out. I'm just kidding. Never have the fear of missing out. Positive porcupine. Always be positive. VeeFriends is the best. It's so brilliant. It really is, man. I cannot wait to be a grandparent and rip packs with my grandkids and my kid to say, Daddy, Grandpa, let's talk about the positive porcupine. What does that mean, be positive? What does it mean to be bubbly? What does it mean to be vibing, right? I mean, these are all vibing's a new character trait, but like it's a fun it's a fun conversation starter. All right, it's a chalk. It's one of my favorite characters, the entrepreneurial elf, one of my favorite guys. And then the profound possum. Let's read this one. He's profound. Can clearly see the why behind the what. Yeah, that's pretty deep. All right, 2 packs to go from this box. Then I still got a blaster and a mega on my table, and we'll see. And then we'll do a sleep test. We'll find out if there's anyone still awake, and if there is, maybe Drew FTN is, and FTV. And if he is, then even if it's just one of you watching, I will continue on. Okay. Oh, okay. So we did finally. I won't spoil it. All right, maybe I will. We did finally hit something good. Let's find out. Be the bigger person. And this is one of the OG characters, at least OG from a Series 1 perspective. And it's a really good one. Dialed in dog out of 50. That is a big one. I don't know the prices off the top of my head. They're all very, very similar. Like all the cards out of 50 or out of 30 or out of 25 or 5 or 10 or even the ones out of 199, they're all roughly in the same price range. And then like the more popular characters like the Lucky Black Cat will be slightly higher. So I don't know off the top of my head what out of 50 goes for. Maybe it's like my best guess is $75. What I do know is that it's worthy of my gallery, and we finally hit a good card. Now that's not. I mean, I don't know. Out of 50, is that good enough to like drop the mic and close it for the night? I don't think so. I think we need something better. I still think something good's really, really good's coming. But we now got 4 cards in the gallery, and we finally got our first numbered card. Prudent Polar Bear. We haven't pulled him yet. Avoids burnout by thinking ahead and saving energy for what matters most. I'm looking at this number of 867 people, and it's so surreal. I'm like, it can't be right. But it's got to be right because, like, the numbers don't lie. If there were, like, 2 people in the chat, there would just be 2 people in the chat. If there was 0, like when this first started, when I first launched it, it was at 0. So, like, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me tonight and enjoying ripping packs and talking about the hobby. And as you know, I guess with me, we go on tangents and we talk about all kinds of stuff, don't we? We tap into economics. We talk about politics. We talk about spirituality. I mean, gosh, we were talking about reincarnation earlier, law of attraction. So I guess, my rips are a little bit different, which I guess is cool, right? I mean, if everyone was the same, that'd be boring. What did Forrest Gump say about the box of chocolates? You know the drill. All right, this is a new one too. Organized Ostrich. He's very cute. Makes things easier for everyone by setting things up once the right way. Slaying Slug. He's cute. Yellow Refractive for Genuine Giraffe. Let's read it. Not admired for their size or status, but rather by how real and open they are to others. I mean, that's deep. That is some serious deep shit right there. I hope after the show tonight with Matt Vinyls, the hour-and-a-half podcast we did, I hope after tonight, if you were not familiar with VeeFriends, you now get it. It's genuinely a brilliant product. This is why I love it so much. It's why I featured it in the Flip Life Volume 2, which comes out in December. And it's why I will continue to be the Pied Piper for them because I love what they are trying to do for the world. And so I have a ton of that stuff. And you know what? If it had gone up in the secondary market, it got up crazy in value, I probably would have flipped some of it. But prices have not been exuberant. The prices in the secondary market are, I think, around roughly for the Blast and Megas around what they cost originally. Now the hobbies are still more expensive, but once the prices are, if it's no longer profitable to flip, I'd rather just enjoy the cards and rip them myself. And now that I have a YouTube channel and a vehicle to share these cards, I'd much rather just rip them myself than share them with you. Sincere Skunk. All right, let's rip the next blaster. So cliche. You always see these YouTubers with their. There you go. I used to never do it like that, but now I'm starting to like realize maybe that makes sense. It's kind of an easy way to rip. Yeah, my back is definitely getting like tired from sitting like this. On my break, I grabbed a drink, went to the bathroom. I didn't do any yoga. I probably should have gotten some yoga stretches in. But what I definitely will do is do some stretching after because I'm feeling it. There's so many jobs, like service jobs where people are on their feet from like 9 to 5, or even like when you go to the airport and you pull out of the parking garage, come back from a vacation, and there's someone in like the toll booth. They've been sitting in that toll booth for how long? Like 8 hours, just sitting there. First of all, it sucks that's their job, but I guess they're probably grateful to have a job. But just physically sitting like that for such a long period of time, that's got to be difficult on the body. Like that's not easy to do. I thought I saw something good. Nothing special. Competitive Clown. Sensible Sommelier. It is a fun one because it's one of my favorite guys. I got the Bullish Bull in chalk. Look at that. He looks like he's ready to like a linebacker ready to suck a quarterback. And then the Hype Horse. Let's read that. That's new. Brings energy that makes you believe that you can. I mean, we've discussed this already tonight. Your thoughts are really powerful. If you believe you cannot do it, you will not do it. That's a promise. But if you believe you can, you might, you probably will. But you have to believe it. And that can be hard when you're doing something that's scary or new or something where you're disadvantaged in some way, but you got to have hope. You got to have positivity. I've learned the hard way. I've been negative before, and I've seen the reality that negativity creates. And then I kind of went through a spiritual awakening after my yoga phase, and I started being positive, and I started noticing the reality that happens when I'm positive. And it's like, it's very obvious that your mindset, whether it's spiritual or just factual 3D reality, it's true. Your attitude is everything. And when you're optimistic and positive, good things can happen. They might not, but they can. If you're negative, they definitely will not. Right? Cheerful cheetah? No, charming cheetah. Radical rabbit. Humble hummingbird in yellow. That's a cute card alert. That guy's adorable. Look at that. And this is one of the characters where I still don't know how to pronounce it. Maybe you guys can help me in the chat, although I guess you'll just be writing it like this has been written. But is it the IA? It's the amped AA? I don't know what it is. But he's so cute. I wish I knew how to pronounce it. Maybe when I get to hang out with Gary Vee sometime and do an interview with him or have him on my show, he'll tell me what this guy actually is properly pronounced. But the humble hummingbird, that guy is super cute. All right, here we go. Yeah, I'm amazed. I took a 10-minute break. We didn't lose anybody. We gained 3 people, and we've held 2 of those new 3 people, which is cool. Befuddled burglar. I'm sorry that I'm so focused on the numbers, but it's still so new to me, and it's still just fascinating. Just like, how you build a brand, how do you build a YouTube channel? How do people find you? Like so many people watching it right now. Are you watching on my YouTube channel? Are you watching on the Collecting and Connecting Podcast Network channel? Are you watching on Twitter? On the Twitter feed? I'm curious. Like, how do people find you? Is it from all the promotions that I've been doing? Who knows? Is it Sensible Sommelier in yellow? And this is a new one from tonight. Meticulous Magpie. Let's read it. Takes simple items and through dedication and detail, transforms them into a beautiful nest. He's cute and is profound. I love it. I love VeeFriends. What a brilliant concept. I can't say it enough because again, I love Pokemon. It's awesome, but most people don't even know what the characters are about, or what they stand for, or they don't know the storyline. They didn't watch the cartoon. They didn't play the game. You don't get much out of it besides the dollar values or just the artwork. And by the way, the artwork is really beautiful, by the way. But there's no thinking involved in VeeFriends. The badass bulldog, right in the back of the card, it says, rough around the collar edge. That makes others feel like a badass just standing next to them. I mean, the knowledge, the wisdom, it's blatantly right there on the card. And again, if we're using this as a teaching tool, like for children who are the future generation of this world, gosh, I hope they learn about this freaking product because so many good things will come out of if a whole generation of kids that grow up just as obsessed with VeeFriends as they are about Pokemon. Dude, we really could have made a positive dent in the universe in a positive way. Observant oyster, authentic anaconda. Not a big fan of snakes, I'll be honest. Jolly Jacko. I don't really know why this character, unless he's a bad guy. Like, what is it? He's got a pumpkin on his head. I mean, I don't know. So some of these characters are not, they're not your typical zoo animal. They're funky, weird things because it's a product based on creativity. They come with all kinds of cool characters, like Gary B. All right, here we go. So we'll reassess where we're at after this mega box, okay, guys? Because I am getting a little tired. More, not even really tired. My back is literally aching. Whoa, it's a base card, but it's fun because we haven't pulled this yet. A just jackal stands firm in who he is, never letting others sway him. All I can say to that one is hell yeah. Bombastic baboon, that's new. Swings through life with energy, charisma, and big ideas that compel others to follow his lead. Another new one, and this is a super cute alert. Persistent penguin. Look at that little cutie. Competitive advantage. Keeps moving forward no matter the conditions. Surviving the cold, the storms, and the slow days. Oh my goodness. Okay, we have a red alert situation. Not the way you think. I didn't pull a 101. I need to know who's awake right now. Who the F is with me? And if you are with me, who is familiar with the Mandela effect? Does anyone know what the Mandela effect is? Now we're getting to like not spirituality. This is more like esoteric science fiction territory here. Anyone know what that means? Bueller? Anyone know what that is? Give me a thumbs up. Give me a yes. Is everyone asleep here? Are these really 800 people watching or not? Okay. The Mandela effect, for those who are watching or who watch us on the road, is a weird, strange phenomenon that I can confirm. I've experienced it. I think it's real. I can't explain it. Some say that it's happening because of the CERN hydro collider experiments that have been done underneath the ground in Switzerland with that giant CERN facility where they're smashing particles together, trying to like peel open a portal to a different universe or whatever. But there are certain products, for example, like one might be Aunt Jemima maple syrup. I'm not sure that's one of the ones, but just the point is, everyone knows it as like Aunt Jemima, and like the character wears like a red beanie, and she's like milk and butter, and then like that's how you remember it when you were a kid, for example. But now it's called like Aunt Jamimi, and she's wearing a blue apron, and she's not churning butter, she's fixing a car. It's something totally different, right? And you're like, no way. I'm sure that the Aunt Jemima logo was a lady churning butter with a red beanie. Well, so right now, for example, Chick-fil-A, the logo, some say, has changed. Like the way you spell chick is different. The Mandela effect comes from the story of Nelson Mandela, the famous rights activist and politician. He eventually became the prime minister of South Africa, but because of his political protesting, he was once put in jail, and eventually died. And some people remember him still alive, or he wasn't ever put in jail. Like the point is, people remember the history of Mandela very, very differently, and the current party line, like that's in like Wikipedia, is very different than how most people remember it. Okay, so here's where we have a potential Mandela effect, and hopefully, Gary, when we get together one day, you can confirm for me this was not a Mandela effect. This was for some reason, a strategic decision, but I don't know why you would change the name of a character. But here's how I know there's a Mandela effect happened, and here I can prove it, because I pulled 2 101s in series 1. Now, regretfully, I sold them both because I spent so much money on the hobby. I needed the cash flow. I had to replenish my reserves, and I thought it was a good decision at the time. Now I wish I kept them as part of my collection. However, this is a character called the Dedicated Dragonfly. Now wait a second, because I pulled a 101 of a daring dragonfly. Okay, hold on, watch this. By the way, shout out to Jackie Robinson. American history would not be what it is without him. So because I don't have the original 101 Dragonfly, but then I pulled this, I think it's a special, it could be base, but it's the Daring Dragonfly debut sticker. You see there, it's the Daring Dragonfly. Now, it should be the same character. It's the Dedicated Dragonfly. So which is it? Is this the Mandela effect with me proving it right here? Or did they just change the name of the character? Because that would be odd. They don't, most IP companies don't change the name of their character, especially when it had a great name. Daring Dragonfly is a great name. So I don't have an answer. But I kept this one because I love this card. I love the character. I love the way this refracts. But it's a reminder for me that I pulled that 101 of the Daring Dragonfly. So it's just so weird every time I see this card and it's the dedicated Dragonfly when I know and have proof that it used to be the Daring Dragonfly. So anyway, that's the Mandela effect. That's my thesis that it could be happening with VeeFriends. It could be a conspiracy theory. I could be crazy. They probably just changed the name for some reason. But again, I don't know why they would, because Daring Dragonfly is a great name. Noble Numbat, that's new, earns trust by leading with character and purpose. I never knew what the term tenacious was until I heard my dad say it about a soccer player that I played high school with in my junior year. He called this. He's like, "Oh, that guy was tenacious today," and I was like, "Tenacious? What does that mean?" Refuses to quit and possesses the stamina to keep going even when others stop trying. And a gracious grasshopper. Ooh, something good's coming, guys. Monday, Mole, Kind Warrior, and a Boisterous Beaver out of 150. Very nice. Our second numbered card this session. Not as good as our Donald Dog out of 50, but I love the Boisterous Beaver. He's super cute. Leads from the ground up, moving fast and using pure enthusiasm to pull others forward. You're going to glass, buddy. Yeah, so it's 12:30 here in KC, 1:30 on the East Coast. This is now 2 minutes away from 3 hours. We're not just setting a new record for longest live stream for me. We are destroying it. That's awesome. I think I have 867 sleeping people watching. So thank you for falling asleep to me tonight. I appreciate it. Here's a outgoing octopus. Again, I'm not teasing. I'm grateful. You are watching me and you fell asleep. You fell asleep watching something you love. You're going to hopefully have awesome, happy dreams. You fell asleep because you were in a good vibration. You were in a happy place listening to, someone talk about cards or something that you love. Steadfast snake. So I'm not a fan of the snake. A lot of snake. There's a few snakes in this group, in this set, but I'll forgive Gary for that. Every pursuit is followed through until the job is done. Hey, I mean, how can you get mad at that? That makes sense to me. So this guy's on the cover of Series 2. We get the Flexin' Fox. Learning not to act or flex from a place of comparison. Yeah, stay humble, my friends. Stay humble. Oh, first time. Another new one. The product is so deep. Tidy Troll. Thrives by keeping things simple, structured, and stress-free. Gracious Goose. YOLO Yak. Let's read that. Ability to seize the present moment gives it opportunities others miss. Vibrant Vampire. I'm not a fan of the vampires in general, but this guy's pretty cute. And then the Humble Hummingbird. So I should have kept track of how many packs we opened and do some kind of like statistics summary tomorrow to sum up this session. But it's been a lot. You know who knows? The knowing gnome knows. The thoughtful three-horned Hotnik. Probably one of the bad guys. Not one of my favorite characters. He scares me. The zealous zombie. And the capable caterpillar. Intuitive iguana. Courageous cockatoo. Charming cheetah. Protective panther. That's a first. Let's read it. Prowls on patrol, placing themselves between danger and those they care about. I'm down with that. So 2 numbered cards, 1 mega head, 2 mangas. and a skilled skeleton, a dynamic dinosaur, a micro, macro, balanced battles. Now, I love economics, so we got to read this. Macro and micro may seem like opposites, big versus small, but when balanced, they unlock progress. Micro is the fast daily work. Macro is the patience and the focus on the long-term goals. Live each day with macro vision and micro speed for maximum impact. Yeah. Considerate cowboy, that's a first. Knowing when to use his lasso, guiding situations with care instead of force. Unwavering urchin, adventurous astronaut. Oh, okay, one of my favorites. So my daughter Kayla, she's now living in DC, working for Fox News, and I always called her Angel Girl. But ever since eighth grade, when I started teaching her about spirituality and manifesting the law of attraction, as soon as she started becoming goal oriented, she started to become living embodiment of the secret from the book series. And she literally had on her wall in eighth grade a vision board where she had Washington D.C. and the U.S. Capitol, and she was like in the White House, and she was like, "I'm going to work in the Capitol one day. I'm going to work in the White House." And she literally was a White House intern last semester. She literally worked for two different senators as interns. She also worked for the House Oversight Committee. And then she decided she also loves media, and that's what she wanted to major in, was political communications. And then she interned for Fox News not once, but twice. And then they eventually hired her out of college, and now she has an amazing, amazing job. So my daughter is living proof, and also proof that you can teach this stuff to others at a young age, and people can learn to manifest. Now, look, everyone's in different situations, and they're starting from different places. But yeah, it's true. Now, the key component is hard work. Now, she worked really, really hard. Literally, like in high school, she started to volunteer for local politicians. I even went with her on many, many door knocking campaigns because she was too young to do it by herself. So I helped her and I supported her. But so manifesting is not just like abracadabra, bang, bang, boom, get what you want. It comes with hard work and perseverance. But the thoughts and the manifesting that create those opportunities to allow you to work hard, it definitely connects and plays out. So anyway, so I actually have already saved two of these, and I put them in glass, and they're up in her room to give to her the next time she comes to visit. I pulled a mega head and then a base of the ambitious angel, because you can tell from the way she's had her career, she's been very, very ambitious, and she's always been my angel girl. And so this is how you see how certain characters can start to identify with. And so, like, every time I pull an ambitious angel, I'm going to think of my daughter and want to give her that card. Here's an accountable ant, and things are starting to get hot. This is now our third numbered card. So if these go through streaks, we have a legendary lemur out of 99. Again, at 99, I'm not sure, that 25, 45, 50 bucks. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. And this is a cool character. Competitive advantage. Operates knowing life isn't about what's in your bank account, but instead about how many people will attend your funeral. Whoa. You know, the Native Indians, when they die, they give away all their stuff. They believe that they go on to an afterlife. And the Native tribe members, when they pass away and reflect on their life, on their deathbed, they don't measure their wealth in monetary wealth. Like, here we are, we're in the hobby of collectors. So many of our people in our hobby value their PC of whatever it's worth, and they identify with that worth and the monetary value of what that's worth. Native Indians feel like you come on this life and you go on this life, and the material things you accumulate when you're here, and then you let them go. You know, the Egyptians were so fascinated with material objects that would bury them in their tombs with them. And the Indians said, no. We will measure our worth, our growth, our wealth, our value, not monetarily with trinkets and things, but based on spiritual measurements. How much did you help others? What impact did you have on others in a positive way? That's deep. That's deep. And those who do that become legendary. Legendary Lee Moore operates knowing life isn't about what's in your bank account, but instead about how many people will attend your funeral. Nailed it. Gary Vee, great job, dude. I mean, it's effing brilliant, this product. So proud of it. Excited to be an ambassador. I'm a volunteer, non-paid employee. All right, so now it's 3 numbered cards. So not a 101. So nothing really insane. If we pull a Libby Dunn, we're done. We're stopping. It's time to go. But until then, we're gonna keep going. Hold on. Excuse me. Macho Man Array. That's actually new. Let's read it. Lead steady and strong without intimidation, uplifting everyone who swims with him. We've actually hit a new high, 868. I don't know if I'll be around long enough for us to get to 1,000, but I thank each and every one of you. You are amazing. You're beautiful. I'm grateful for you. Whether you're here just to hang out with me and all my fun little conspiracy theories and spirituality takes, or you're here because you love cards, or because you love VeeFriends, or because you're interested in VeeFriends. It doesn't matter why you're here. You're here with me, hanging out on my Card Life Chronicles live stream, and I am grateful for you. You can be doing anything else right now, and you're hanging out with me. And again, I keep teasing that half of you guys or all of you guys are probably asleep right now, but according to the numbers, you're still here. So even if you are asleep, I even thank you for that, because it meant that you were watching me before you and we're in such a good, happy vibe that you were able to calmly, float off to Neverland and have a great dream tonight. So yeah. Dapper Dashhound. Spontaneous Seahorse. Oh, we haven't pulled this yet. Focused Falcon. It's not Libby Dunn. It's Chris Brinkley. First time we've pulled this all day in my podcast interview with Matt Vinyls, and also in this mega rip session, which is now 3 hours long. We got a Wilford Wizard base card. Says capable of forging his own path in this world and others. Hell yeah, let's go. And then of course, one of my favorite cards, you know this already, Bullish Bull. And then we got 2 more. We got Zealous Zombie and Headstrong Honey Badger. All right, 4 packs to go in this box. The world has plenty of love. Start listening to it. Forever Phoenix. Tolerant Tuna. Heart Trooper. Ooh. This is one of the cute bad guys. I think maybe the OG bad guy, and it's an X Factor. This card might be worth something, and it's so unique because I don't think I've ever pulled it. Is Bad Intentions, and that's gonna get some glass. Meticulous Magpie and the Jolly Jack. Oh yeah, sorry, my phone had died, so I can't get the dual camera going, and then show you the cards as I rip them. And then show the display. But you know what? That's just a testament to the fact that we've now eclipsed 3 freaking hours. So hell yeah, for all of you guys who've been with me this entire run. That's incredible. And God bless you guys. Amazing. I hope you guys always show up for these rip sessions. But yeah, Bad Intentions goes in the gallery because it's such a unique pull, and he's such a cool character. And did we read him? We gotta read him. He spreads chaos and fear to show nothing stands above him. So even the bad guys sort of have positive traits and attributes, which I think is very, very clever for the Gary and his crew to develop that. That's awesome. Wily Wild Boar, Hungry Hammerhead, Zestful Zebra, Brilliant Blobfish, Honorable Ohm, Outgoing Octopus, Capable Caterpillar. Yeah, when I tell my wife last night that I'm exhausted because I was up so late, and she's like, "Why? What were you doing? Were you playing video games again?" I'm like, "No, I did a live stream with 868 people," and she's gonna be like, "Yeah, right." but I have proof. Can you guys see how many people are alive, or just do I see that? I know when it replays eventually, when I see it on Twitter, like after it's the video's over, you do see the replays, and so it's gonna say 868. Man, you guys are amazing. I'm grateful. Polished poodle, balanced beetle, offensive oriented orangutan, articulate armadillo. I'm getting tired, guys. I'm starting to get to that level. Competitive clown. I think about all those like marathon fundraisers they used to do back in the day where they'd stay up all night raising money. How do they do it? I know how they did it. They drink a lot of coffee, and I'm on a major coffee hiatus. It's been months since I had a cup of coffee. I have used coffee a lot as a very abusive tool to write books. I stay up all night. I've done this many nights throughout the years, writing books. When I get in the zone, I want to keep going. But ultimately, coffee, where it takes its toll on me, the sugar and the dairy gives me psoriasis, gives me stomach problems. I start getting fat. It's not a good situation. So I'm better off being without it. But it's hard. I rarely go and do all-nighters. I'll drink soda, like non-caffeine soda, and there's sugar in that, but it's better than nothing, but it's not the same. Protective Panther, considerate cowboy. All right. So given that we are at 3 hours and 12 minutes, and given that there's no proof that any of you are still awake, you all could be sleeping on me here, and I'm the only one grinding. But if you are still here, I thank you. But I know either way, a lot of you will watch this on replay. So when you're watching this in a month from now or 2 months from now or 5 years from now, thank you for watching this video. I appreciate you. Thank you for supporting my books. It's been a passion of mine. I do have a day job. I'm a financial advisor, but I've been writing books now for over a decade. I've published 15. 16 will be my Pokemon book, which comes out in September. And I'm just so grateful to be able to have the chance to do this for a living and turn my hobby into turn my passion into a hobby, my hobby into a career. You know, hobbies fulfill life. And whether it's the card hobby or writing books, those two hobbies have been really huge for me. And I'm grateful for both of them. Modest Moose, Gritty Ghost, Loyal Lobster, that's new. Prioritizes long-term relationships over single interactions. Oh, here comes my dog. That means it's time to go potty, which means it's time to wrap it up. Versatile Viking, Mega Head the Gnome, Sentimental Salamander, and Enamored Emu. Guys, 3 hours, almost 900 people. You are amazing. VeeFriends is amazing.
He pulled a stain from a shoebox lid. Said this one traded for my first big win. Jonathan sank on the line tonight with a pack in hand and a story that